Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. Here we are, back again with Winds of Change. And this may possibly be the finale of this awesome visual novel. I can't believe we're already at the end, honestly. Yeah, here we are. Everyone is alive. I'm at 50% corruption and 30% purity. But I've accepted the choices I made throughout this journey, and we're gonna see this through to the end. So, last time we played through the entirety of Act 4, and I was emotionally all over the place. We arrived at Alaminthia, we got involved in a Colosseum challenge. We almost lost Pro, but thankfully he's alive and well. Gosh, and to top it all off, Sophie joined us. A lot happened, a lot of plot was revealed. I almost broke up with Ulrich, but thankfully I kept my promise to not judge him for the actions he's done in the present and in the past. And since I held our bond so closely, I earned his loyalty, and he's no longer immortal. I'm still amazed by that twist. Like, I was thinking these characters were able to live for hundreds of years, but then immortality made a lot more sense. If you missed Act 4, the archive is up on YouTube now, if you wanna catch up on the plot. And now may be a good time to do it, because we're not gonna go to the enemy stronghold right away. I want to get everyone's loyalty scenes before we go to the final battle, and I also want to make sure I've collected every possible book. Now, let's start things off with Pro's loyalty scene. He definitely deserves some time to unwind after what he went through. Okay, Pro leads me to Mazeo's town square without saying much. I'm not sure what's going on, but he seems happier than usual. Things must be going well for him. I hope it's something good. After a while, he rests his back against the nearby house. Tapping his foot, it looks like he's waiting for something.
Okay, Monarch, you're not going to believe this. I got some information about my parents the other day. After pulling a few strings, I was able to set up a meeting.
That's actually a huge deal. I'm really happy for him.
As far as I know, it's just my dad. I think my mom was under the weather or something. But at this point, I'll take whatever I can get. I'm so excited! I'll finally get to ask him what happened. Do you think I have any brothers or sisters? Wait, don't answer that. I'll keep my hopes low.
Oh, he's so excited. He has a huge smile on his face, and I can understand why. This is something he's been looking forward to for his entire life. The ability to meet his parents and find out why they abandoned him?
I almost don't believe this is happening. For the last decade, I've had eyes and ears everywhere. People run around Mazeo gathering information for me to sell. I prefer to do all the work myself, but anything extra is a huge benefit. I'm good at selling, so they provide the info, and then we share the profit. when we got back from Alarentia, one of them had a bunch of stuff to share. And one of them was the one piece of information I've been waiting to hear. My parents were alive and living in Museo all those years, and they were so close. I bought the information from him myself. I paid more than I have for anything else in my life. But you can't put a price on this kind of stuff, you know? My future and my heart is on the line. This is a big deal. I hope we don't have to wait too much longer. I'm nervous.
That much was made evident by his constant rambling. I press my back against the wall with him, and we wait together. We talk about random subjects, anything to pass the time for now. And after a while, finding topics to discuss becomes a little harder. It's not because our bond is weak, but because we've run out of topics. The time of the meeting approached, and then faded away. Nobody arrived.
I guess he's running a bit late. It happens. I can't hold it against him.
He smiles, and it's an incredibly nervous smile. He knows deep down inside that his words may not be true. A couple more hours pass, but I don't abandon his side, not even once.
Any moment now.
After a while, we slump down and sit on the ground. His naive hope starts to dissipate into a harsh realization. And I can't tell he doesn't want to admit it, so we continue to sit. As the sun sets, people start to retreat to their homes. I can tell that he's tired, and so am I. I close my eyes for a few moments. It wouldn't hurt to doze off for a little bit. I just need to make sure I don't leave him. I awaken a while later, unsure of the time. When it's dark, it must be the dead of night. Pearl rests beside me, snoring softly, asleep. I know that in his slumber, he doesn't have to face the facts. His dad never came. But why? Was he too afraid to follow through? Pearl has a smile on his face. I can tell that he's still hopeful, even in sleep. But he can't sleep forever. He needs to wake up and face this. Giving him a soft nudge, he wakes up. But then my heart is broken. He thinks I woke him up because his dad arrived. He looks around, ecstatic. Like he realizes that it's just me and him. His ears fold back and he laughs, almost like he's not surprised. I knew that this would be hard for him to face. He was abandoned again.
I guess I should have expected this.
He sighs and crosses his arms.
You know, I thought I'd give them the option. They could come meet me when they were ready and willing. Other than that, my only option was to just march into their home. Of course, my courtesy just ends up stabbing me in the back. He said he'd be here, Monarch. He said he would. And I trusted him!
He growls and punches the nearby wall in a fit of rage.
It's not fair!
He grunts in pain and stands there, panting. Few tears start to steam from his eyes.
Why don't they love me?
I step forward and place a comforting arm on his shoulder. He starts crying a bit more, but I let him know that I'm here for him.
I just wanted a family. More than anything, I want to belong. It hurts so much that they don't want me. I want to know why they threw me away. It's all I've ever wanted to know. It's why I do what I do. I don't know if I can live the rest of my life without knowing the truth.
He starts to calm down, and soon enough the tears fade. You can tell he's super conflicted. He really wants to meet his parents. But they don't want to meet him. There's really nothing he can do. It was cruel to schedule a meeting and then not follow through. His dad must have gotten cold feet, or maybe his mother needed attention. Under the weather could have any number of meanings, not many of them good. Either way, it's evident that this pursuit of the truth is causing him more harm than not. If he wasn't meant to know the truth, then perhaps he should focus on moving forward. After all, he had a loving family in the rebellion. We would never abandon him like this.
I just don't know what I should do.
Um... Keep pushing to learn the truth. If they won't come to you, then go to them. I tell him not to give up. If he could gain more info, he could pursue his parents. He's on the right track right now, so he shouldn't give up. He's so close. Even if it doesn't end well, at least he'd finally know the truth.
I never even considered giving up. Although I came close a moment ago. This meeting was definitely a wake-up call. If they won't come to me, then I'll go to them. It might not end well, but at least I'd get some answers. Or maybe I can send one of my men to ask them a few questions. Thanks, Monarch.
He smiles at me. I'm glad I could help him, even if it's only a little bit.
So, should we get going then? I guess you have a lot of things to do. Given that, I'm really glad that you came with me. I don't know how I would have handled this alone. Having you by my side, it makes me stronger. And if there's anything I need right now, it's strength.
With that, we start to walk away from the town square. It pained me to see him go through this. Nobody should feel abandoned. At the end of the day, he had people like me to stand by his side and help. So no matter what happened, he'd never be alone. Wait, that wasn't it?
I just don't know what I should do.
You know what, let's change that. Let them go, Pro. You have a true family with the rebellion. There we go. Left behind. I tell him to let go of his parents. He has a true family in all of his allies. Blood isn't what makes you family. It's love, acceptance, and understanding. If his parents won't give him that, then perhaps he should be abandoning them.
Let them go?
He seems surprised, like nobody has suggested this to him before.
I know, you're right. I've tried, but it's really hard. What happened here today might change things, though. After everything I've tried, maybe this is the wake-up call I needed. Thanks, Monarch.
He smiles at me. I'm glad I could help him, even if it's only a little bit.
So, should we get going then? I guess you have a lot of things to do. Given that, I'm really glad that you came with me. I don't know how I would have handled this alone. Having you by my side, it makes me stronger. And if there's anything I need right now, it's strength.
I've earned Pro's loyalty. With that, we start to walk away from the town square. It pained me to see him go through this. Nobody should feel abandoned. And at the end of the day, he had people like me to stand by his side and help. So no matter what happened, he'd never be alone. That's better. We have Pro's loyalty. Now let's talk to Dominic and view his loyalty scene. Dominic leads me to the town square of Museo. Because of our recent conversations, I know what's going on. He's taking me to the spot where he lost his mother during the occupation. It must be hard on him. I can see him shaking as we walk through the town. But if facing this painful memory helped him move on, it was my duty to assist him. In the coming storm, he needed to be resolute. Helping him would help all of us.
I can't thank you enough for coming with me, Monarch. There's not many people I trust this much. I'm really glad I have you. Until today, I've only had dreams about doing this, but now I'm strong enough. And honestly, it's all because of you. I give a little credit to my near-death experience, but not all of it. You've grown into a capable leader and led us all down the right path.
He smiles, and I smile back at him. It was nice to receive some support after all we've been through. Being the monarch wasn't very easy, but it's a weight I had to carry. We walked through the town square, taking back alleys for occasional shortcuts. After a while, we end up at a large open area. I'm surprised they haven't built shops here.
This is where town meetings are held. They don't happen very often, but they need a big open space. There's a lot of people in Museo, so everyone deserves a chance to attend.
Soon after that, however, his tone becomes more serious.
A lot of bodies in one place. That's just what they needed during the occupation. This is where it happened, Monarch. The stuff with my mother.
I nod at him as we take steps closer towards the center.
You may notice a crimson tint on the ground here. This is where they piled the bodies during the attack. So much blood. So much carnage. Permanently stained. Just like the memories in my head. As hard as I try, I can't just scrub those off either. Every other night, I wake up in a cold sweat, crying. I feel the lingering touch of her hand against mine. Then, the moment she goes away, it makes me feel empty inside. There's nothing left to feel, except all those corpses pressed against me. A warmth that slowly dissipates, leaving me cold and alone. I had to stay under them until things died down. Almost a whole day. The moment I could, I got out and took her pendant along with me. It's all I have to remember her by, but perhaps that's why I can't let it go. How can you move on from something when you remind yourself of it every day? Just the thought, of course. But after all I've been through, at least it's a thought with merit.
He holds up his hand and shows me the pendant he's holding. I've seen that a few times now. He seems to carry it with him everywhere. Of course, as he suggested, it also means he carries the memory along as well.
Let's keep moving. I'll show you exactly where it happened. Just stay close to me, okay? This is hard.
I nod and start to follow him as we venture deeper into the open area. A podium rests at the center, likely where they'd hold these meetings from. Soon, I picture what this place would look like during the occupation. I cringe. After a while, Dominic stops dead in his tracks and looks down at the ground. His body language and reaction tells me that this is exactly where his trauma happened. I position myself right beside him and wait for him to speak. I couldn't rush him now.
Well, this is it.
Clutches the pendant close to his chest.
Would you sit with me, Monarch? We might be here for a while after all.
He sits down on the ground, attracting stares from a few passersby. I join him, caring more for his well-being than the judgment of those around us. Looking down at the ground, he places the pendant down and moves it around slightly.
It was right here, I think. You never really forget, you know. I hope it's not weird to sit here with me.
I shake my head and let him do what he needs to do.
Coming here to face what happened. I needed to do this. But now I'm not sure what to do next. I mean, with the pendant. Do I leave it behind? Just like my memories, or do I hold on?
That was a good question, and I can tell it's bothering him.
I'm sure someone will just come around and steal it anyway. But maybe that's for the best. It can be somebody else's burden. I think I've grown tired of carrying it around for my entire life. However, I also don't want to regret doing this. I could be acting rashly in the face of our final battle. It wouldn't be the first time somebody has done that, you know.
I nod and let him speak.
Look at me. The world is at stake, and I'm worried about this. You know what? With everything you've done for us, I trust you. What do you think I should do, Monarch? Take it or leave it? Besides, I'm a bit biased here in almost every regard. Your head is more clear than mine, so it's worth a shot. What do you think I should do here? What's the right choice?
Leave it. Move on from these painful memories.
You're right. I think this is something I need to do. It'll be hard, but I need to move on. I can't hold myself back. We're fighting to liberate our world and push forward, right? It's a bit hypocritical for me to do the opposite to myself. I hope whoever picks it up goes on to take good care of it. It means a lot to me, and I hope it can do that for others too.
He places his hand on the pendant, touching it one last time.
It's time for me to let go, Mother. This was always yours. I was just holding on to it for a while. I'll miss you always, but your sacrifice for me will never be forgotten.
He smiles and lets go of the pendant. It shimmers in the sun. We both stand up and turn back in the direction we came from.
Well then, should we get going?
I've earned Dominic's loyalty. I nod, and we start walking back the way we came. But Dominic looks much happier and content than he did earlier. Perhaps the events of today would give him a clear mind in the future. As our final battle was imminent, we would find out sooner rather than later. Alright, 3 down, 4 more to go. Yeah, I'm assuming that I can... Yeah, we can find Sylvie's heart-to-hearts scattered around the world. And we might get a really good ending if we have everyone's loyalty. I should have said this earlier, but after thinking about it last night, Act 4 may be my favorite act in this whole game. It was intense. I love that Ulrich was the center of attention throughout all of it. And the dialogue was so good, and the twists were so good. I really loved it. Anyway, I am not earned Valesa's loyalty. Oh wait. Yeah, let's view her scene. Valesa leads me through Museo to some sort of hidden cove area. There's a large ship, and it looks like some of the sort of dock with no signs of life. Stashes of treasure lay about, and it's apparent that this place has been abandoned.
After we returned, I got talking to the pirates. You know, to pick up any information on our parents. It turns out, this is their base of operations. Their HQ. Kind of funny, isn't it? We both ended up having HQs in Museo. But, to be honest, that's where I'd like the similarities to end. The more I learn about them, the more I hate them. They kept running off to Museo and left us in Saelus's hands. Now that I think about it, he raised us more than they ever did. I guess they were more interested in this life of piracy. It's awful.
She looks around the cove, taking in the environment.
I wanted to come here with you to face the truth. Our parents were bad people. There's no denying it. They wanted this to be their legacy, rather than us.
She starts to walk around the area, and I follow behind her.
Look at all this junk they valued more than us. Weapons, money, more money, and lame scrolls. Maps to some far off treasure and riches, I'm sure.
Picking up a handful of coins, she throws them into the nearby water. Uh, Valessa, there are people that could use that more than us. Don't just throw money away like that.
Sorry for going off like that. It just makes me really angry. We idolized them for so long, thinking the world lost good people. But to realize that maybe the world is better off without them? It's hard. Anyway, thanks for coming along with me. I just thought it would be good to do this together. I don't know how Fortin would handle it, if I'm honest.
She turns to face me with a hint of smile on her face.
You know, I realized I'm different from all of these rebels. They've been living oppressed in the shadow of the triumvirate. But it was never the triumvirate that held me back. It was always myself. I wanted to be a person who can make my parents proud. I wanted to do what society demanded of me. I wanted to be perfect. But this is a real wake-up call. Nobody is perfect. We're all flawed at heart. To realize that and embrace it, I think that's all I needed to do. I feel like now I can be who I want, and not who other people want me to be. It feels like such a small thing, but a different perspective can change a lot, you know?
I nod.
Well then, wanna take a look around? If we can find anything to help us in Balteus, then it's not a total loss. I'm sure there's something around here that we can take along with us.
She starts rummaging through various crates and sacks. I do the same as her, but find nothing of note, except money. If I could help it could help after the war. Right now we needed something more.
Hey, look what I found!
She pulls out a pair of daggers and starts inspecting them.
I think I remember these. Back when I was a kid, I swear I saw them. That means they must have belonged to my parents. Or my mother, to be exact. Just an intuition, so I can't say for sure. But I'd be willing to bet that my hunch is correct. Did you find anything good, Monarch?
I shake my head. There wasn't anything of note. Aside from those daggers, none of it was helpful.
What do you say? Should I keep them? Might come in handy when we attack Balteus.
That was a good question, actually. She came here to move on from her parents. Taking their stuff could just be a constant reminder. On the other hand, however, maybe she could make them her own. It was hard to tell whether or not this would help or hinder her in the future. With our final battle almost upon us, I'm afraid that I couldn't afford a mistake. What should I tell her? Quick save. You know what? It would make sense if she kept them to defend herself with. Yeah, I keep them, Valessa. Make them your own.
Make them my own, huh?
Oh,
I think I like the sound of that.
oh good. That was the right choice. She puts the daggers in the leather straps on her back. Returning with a smile, it seems like she's ready to head home.
Well, I guess now I need to focus on the important stuff. What kind of person do I want to be after this war is over? I'm no longer held back by anything, so I guess my dreams are the limit.
Oh, sorry. I keep getting the bones mixed up. She takes a deep breath of relief, as if a massive weight was not gone. I totally understand. This was a big deal for her, and for me as well.
Should we head back then? I guess you have other things to tend to. Truth be told, I needed this. Thank you.
With that, we're on our way out of the cove. She faced her past in that moment and came out even stronger. I have no doubt that she'd continue to grow into an amazing woman. Before we leave for good, I turn back and look around once more. This is where our parents conducted most of their business? That means this is the closest I've been to them in decades. Goodbye. Right. Now to do Fortem's loyalty scene. Fortem takes me back to Valinor, and we look at the Grand Tree. It makes sense that he'd want to accomplish his lifelong dream before the final battle. With those metallic claws he found in Mazeo, I think he could finally achieve what he wanted. And of course, he wanted me to achieve it with him. I'm grateful that he chose me, but I'm also a little worried. Is this really something I could pull off, even with those tools?
Well, I guess this is it. I can't leave for Balteus with any regrets. So I'm finally going to do it. I'll climb the Grand Tree. And with someone like you, no less. Think they'll talk about this in the history books? I mean, I don't think anybody else has done this before.
We're going to be the first.
Here, you need to put these on like gloves. There's another pair that goes on your feet as well. After that, we just climb. We don't need to find footholds. Being able to create them ourselves? Now that's a good invention. I gotta give credit where credit is due. The Zayans know what they're doing. Don't tell anybody, though. These might very well be under the trade ban.
He gives me a quick wink. It's alright though, I won't tell anybody.
It looks way taller than I remember. I'd try to give you some advice, but I don't have any. With those tools, this should be pretty easy. At least, I hope. Just don't fall, Monarch. I don't know if you could survive something like that. I've fallen from way shorter trees and been in pain for months.
Sir is great at instilling confidence.
Well then, got everything ready? Let's find a good starting point and do this. But remember, it's a race, so no holding back. I want to make sure that we both give it our all. No regrets.
He enters a stance that implies he's ready to begin. I nod to let him know that I'm ready, and assume the same stance. We make our way to the base of the Grand Tree and look up. This is the first time I realize how tall it actually is. Would we really be able to make it to the top? A doubt wells up within me, but I don't voice it.
I bet I'll be the first one there.
With that said, he digs his claws into the tree and starts to climb. I watch him for a few moments before replicating his actions to a T. After a few minutes of doing this, we're extremely far from the surface.
Scared of heights? Make sure not to look down. I, for one, love the view. This is part of why I do it. Hey, no fair! I was taking a breather. Didn't think you'd be the type to play dirty.
He laughs as we scale the tree at almost the same rate. I can't imagine doing this without those claw-like tools. In fact, they make this pretty easy. There's no risk of falling. It allows me to take a step back and admire Fortem's skill. He was climbing trees for his entire life without this kind of aid. I suddenly appreciate his every stumble and fall, his every bruise. As we get higher and higher, we start to get enveloped in a canopy of leaves. We aren't quite high enough that they've become red, but still an impressive sight. It blocks us from seeing the village below us, but it's beautiful to look at regardless. It really helps solidify just where we are. We're scaling the Grand Tree. Nobody has done this before, and it's been his dream for decades now. However, due to his challenge, the competitive spirit starts appearing within me. At the way we're going, I could very well beat him to the top. In fact, if it was a race, that would pretty much be the point. But this was still his dream. He might deserve the moment. As we near the top, what should I do? I have a feeling he might be mad if I let him win. So, beat him to the top? I let him win? Oh wow. I think he's gonna get mad about it this, he's probably not gonna realize that I let him win. That's why I earned his loyalty. I decided to intentionally slow my progress. Balteus deserves to win. I feel like it's only fair. As we get higher, we reach the blood leaves on high. When we reach the final stretch, I fake a small stumble. Nothing to put myself in danger, just enough to cause a slight delay. After Fortin has gone far enough up, I get myself back on track. It's not much longer before we reach the top, but he's clearly victorious. He laughs as he sits on a massive branch, big enough to support both our weight. I follow him up there and sit beside him, taking a huge sigh of relief. We did it!
I can't believe we did it, Monarch! And of course, I had a feeling that I'd win. Never think you can rise above the master.
He smiles and inches a bit closer towards me as we sit on the branch.
Look at that view. I know we can't see the village, but these leaves? I never thought I'd get to see them up close like this before. I've only ever seen them when they wilt and fall off. But being up here and seeing them fresh? Wow. I wish I could take some with me, but I know I can't.
He runs his hands through some of the blood leaves, clearly in awe.
You know, this doesn't feel like I thought it would. I thought it'd feel amazing, like I'd become a different person. But I feel just like I did before. I guess that's how things go, huh? Oh well, at least that's one more thing I can cross off my list. A bit anticlimactic, but I don't really know what I was expecting. Maybe it's like Eastcrown, just the allure of the unreachable.
He looks around the area one last time, admiring a view he may never see again.
Well, should we get back down to the surface? I don't want to waste much time up here. We're busy and all that. It means a lot to me that we could share this moment. I'll never forget it.
With that, he starts to climb back down. I follow after him and make our way to the surface. Feels weird to be down here after being so high up.
So, what's next on the agenda? You know what? Never mind. You do you. I'll be around if you need me for any reason at all.
I have earned Fortim's loyalty. He walks away with a big smile on his face. I guess a dream of his came true on that day. When we got to Balteus, he'd have no regrets. Look at that, 80% morale. We're doing good. Alright, all that's left is Howl and Sovi. Which means I have to do some searching. I gotta look for those hidden heart-to-hearts. I also wanna make sure I don't miss any more books. Oh. Wait, did I? It looks like I did get all of them. Cool. Oh, not here. But here? Nothing here. Pierre's house. I'm surprised that we can't check up on Griz's assistant and see her reaction to him dead. Tavern? Oh. Town Square? Nope. Main gate? Nope. Mountain Pass? Nope. Nope. Oh, I can go to Alorithia if I want to. I don't know its surrounding region? Salberg? Nope. Outlook? Nope. Peregrino? Nope. Nope. East Crown? Oh! Oh! I found a house heart to heart! I look off into the distance, already shivering at the extreme cold. I wanted to visit home one time before the end, and that included East Crown. We never got to find out what was out there. I start to wonder if we ever will. Not that it's even important. It has nothing to do with our goal, or our cause. It's just a mystery, one of many left unsolved. Hal approaches me from behind and looks into East Crown. He seems perplexed, like not even he really knows what's over there. It makes sense. I doubt the old monarchy had the ability to survive the cold.
We know this place.
He holds out his hand, feeling the harsh winds.
The fatal cold, death within an hour. No chance of survival. Not like Alorinthia's deserts. We let criminals handle their own end. A mercy. Because of this, it became a very mysterious place. We started to wonder what was out there, if anything. However, until now, we had no way of finding out.
Until now?
This cold, we feel nothing. It wouldn't harm us to venture forward. Perhaps now is the time to solve this mystery. How fitting that we would be the first. A monument to death. An execution ground. Monarch, we would like to take a brief break.
How does he know for sure that he can survive? He may not feel anything, but the body could still freeze.
Unlikely. We would be shielded by our spirits. They may die, one by one, but we would endure. At the end of it, we would remain largely unchanged. Besides, we were not asking for permission. Do you not share the same curiosity as us?
Oh wait, it's not a loyalty scene. You're right, it's something I've always wanted to know.
We thought so, too. Something about great minds. Perhaps there will be nothing, or perhaps not. It is something we will never know until we try.
He takes a few steps forward and looks down at the ground.
Already, we can feel our power dwindling. The spirits inside come forth to keep us warm. We will hurry and return with minimal damage.
He starts walking away, powered by his curiosity. Guess he couldn't resist solving a mystery of the world. I don't blame him. he was also uniquely qualified to do so. Just like how I'm the heir to the throne, I'm the only one. I guess he's just embracing his calling much like I did. But East Crown? Would there even be anything in there? There must be something important about East Crown. I almost said that word for word. It was too mysterious. There had to be something there. And now we'd finally find that out. It was rather exciting. And all those thoughts in my mind until Hal returns. He shows no sign of wear and walks as strong as ever. It's hard to get a read on his face. There's no emotion on display.
We don't understand. For a while, there was nothing. But then, we saw something interesting.
I ask him to elaborate, my curiosity taking control.
East Crown is ice. There's no water anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. We saw a ship, crashed, broken, frozen among the ice. A ship sailing in ice. This is backwards. But we think that perhaps this is okay. Backwards, just like our thoughts.
Now he's lost me.
The future? Or perhaps the past? This new outlook changes almost everything. Do not worry, Monarch. We were harmed in no way. As we said, spirits inside kept us warm. A self-sacrifice that helped us brave the cold. A noble end. We are lesser now, but only slightly, and it is an interesting feeling. What we saw in East Crown is of no real importance. However, it has conjured up a spark in our minds. A spark that we must discuss promptly in Mazio. There are some final matters to take care of before the end. Thanks for coming here, Monarch. If anything, it benefits us. I'm sorry if this wasn't what you expected, but that's not always a bad thing.
I nod, as long as he found some sort of benefit in his little trip. Before our final battle, everybody needed to be committed to the cause. One error, one slip-up could cost all of our lives. We had to be resolute. And I wonder what he could want to talk about so suddenly. Wait. What up with the... How long have I not had any footage on stream? What? What? Wait, how long? What? What? Oh no! How much of that? Oh, thank you for pointing out what no one else did. No, the playthrough's not ruined. It's a visual novel that... It's... Do you hear the game audio? Did you hear the game audio? Are you hearing the game audio right now? Good. Okay, you heard it, you just didn't see the footage. Great, I'm gonna be paranoid now if OBS doesn't capture the gameplay again. How did that happen? I think I know I think I know what happened. Oh no, I accidentally put Winds of Change in full screen, and when I put it back in window mode, OBS must have lost connection with it. I saved my game after doing 4 times loyalty scene 2. And I'll keep going. I'll figure something out later. I wonder what he could want to talk about so suddenly. The future? Thinking backwards? Something was definitely bothering him. I'd have to do my duty as his leader to quell any worry before we launch our attack. Hal's loyalty scene is now available. I'm gonna be constantly looking back and forth at OBS now because of that. Alright, back to looking for... I'm gonna look for Sovi's heart-to-hearts before we keep going. Oh, here's one. Alright, Sovi heart-to-heart. The first one. And look at the water tank, thinking of the vision that started all of this. Back then, I thought we could use the water to fight the flames. Little did I know, that entire vision was just a trick to bait us. However, that was the first time I ever laid eyes on Sovi. Never forget what he did to me. He killed me without hesitation. Was he different now? Or was he ever really like that to begin with?
So, this is Valinor. I've heard stories, but never been. Well, unless you count that vision the Triumvirate tricked you with. I must apologize for that. I knew what was going on, and I played along. It's not like I could have done anything else. Valinor was too far away. That, and they still had me under their thrall. I was theirs to command. At least I was able to break free. I feel bad for Halen. I truly do.
He looks around the town square. Looks like he's enamored by Valinor. Almost as if he's looking at a wonder of the world.
I need to ask, what did you think of me? The moment we met in that vision, who was I to you? A mindless slave? A killer? Or perhaps a man who was lost?
That was a fake version, so it doesn't really matter.
I guess you're right. But the Triumvirate made that vision. I know they did it to trick you, but I was still a part of it. How they portrayed me would be how they saw me.
He shakes his head and looks around the town square some more. His eyes became fixated on the post office, and he smiles slightly.
A post office? I haven't seen one of those in ages. I couldn't travel much when I was younger, so I collected stamps. The drawings of places around Alestia. That was the closest I ever got.
He walks towards it, so I make sure to follow him. This is the first time he's ever mentioned anything about his past. It's hard to imagine that he was anything other than the Grand Inquisitor.
But the art never really matches up with the place when you see it in person. I remember collecting the Balteus set and being shocked when I actually got there. It's not really a good or a bad difference, it's just interesting to see how they compare.
Stamps are pretty cool. I collect some of them too.
Oh, wonderful. Then you won't mind if I go buy some. I shouldn't be too long, it's just for old time's sake, you know? Wait for me. We can get back on track as soon as I return.
Hey Minotaur, thanks for coming to the stream. Minotaur? It's Sovi. He had a redemption arc. So he's with us now. I nod and he smiles at me. He runs into the post office and buys some stamps. A look of childlike glee is worn on his face when he returns.
Thank you, Monarch. You know what it's like. Sometimes you just need to do something. This is the first time I've truly been free, so I almost couldn't resist. I'll save these, and perhaps we can write each other after the war. You'll be incredibly busy, so I can't expect to earn a lot of your time.
Let's play it by ear. We might not survive this.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but suit yourself. In that case, let's focus on something more important.
He looks at the blade on my back and assumes a thinking pose.
You could use some training, couldn't you? Anything to give you an edge in the upcoming battle. I have years of practice, so I can teach you almost everything.
Sorry, but I only train under Ulrich.
We shouldn't stay here too long, no. Schedules and all that. If we start training while we travel, it'll be more efficient in the end. We can't waste too much time before setting sail for Balteus.
I nod. It's true, he could teach me a lot about this blade. Alright, even though the Monarch is gonna let Sophie teach him, I personally would just stick with Ulrich. I feel like I'd be needing that knowledge in the coming days. Perhaps having him join us wasn't a bad idea after all.
Wonderful. Normally, I'd call you an apprentice at this point, but I'm past that. I need to drop the behavior that the Triumvirate taught me. So, you're not an apprentice to me. You're a friend, and I'll help you.
We start walking away from the town square, and he inspects his stamps. It was crazy how different he seems from how he was before. I'm taken aback. But if this was the new him and not some sort of facade, he'd be welcomed. I am cautiously optimistic that Sophie has changed. Yeah, the party was pretty mixed. Half was willing to accept him and the other half was like, not willing. But I made my choice. I want to see if Sophie joining us and earning his loyalty would get us a good ending. Does this mean I'll need to check every location again? Just to see it, just to find another one of his heart-to-hearts? Act 4, the last stream, was so intense. But it became my favorite act in this game. It was so good. And not East Crown. Well, yeah, not East Crown. We're looking for Sophie's heart-to-hearts. back to Mazera we go. Ah, Zoe's second heart-to-heart. Still paranoid that OBS is gonna lose, my window capture. As I wandered the town square of Mazeo, I noticed Zoe checking out the market stalls. He seems completely engrossed by everything, like he finally has time to stop and look. It makes sense. Until now, it's likely that he was always on a mission for the Triumvirate. After exploring the markets for a while, he approaches me. It doesn't look like he bought anything, he was just looking around. Why, did Mazeo not have any stamps of interest?
So many useless items. People actually buy these things. Back in Balteus, I got used to having the bare minimum. Anything more than that is a pointless luxury. A waste. Yet, I must say, some of it does have a certain appeal. There were some very unique writing utensils. I might look into them. Not that I fancy myself a writer or anything. They just caught my eye.
He points to the nearby alleyway and tilts his head towards it.
Would you follow me into that alley, Monarch? I think we need to get away from all of these people.
Alone in an alley? You think I trust you that much already?
No, but you don't have any other choice. You'll be using that blade when you assault Balteus. If you don't know how to use it, you'll probably die.
Without saying another word, he walks to the back alley. I follow after him, ready to learn more about the Blade of Exodus. When we arrive, I started asking questions, mainly about its origin.
I couldn't tell you. It's a mystery, even to me. Perhaps they stole it from the monarchy before they took over. I've heard that they had visions too, much like the blade can supply. If that's not the truth, then perhaps they made it themselves. But I'm starting to think they either stole it or stumbled upon it. Stealing isn't above them, as we've all been made aware of.
He shakes his head, as if he's upset that he can't sate my curiosity. And that's fine. Perhaps it's something we'd find out when we went to Balteus.
This is probably the first trick I should teach you.
He holds out a closed fist, and my blade soon appears in his hand. I've seen that happen several times, almost like he can summon it at any time.
You have to be near the blade for it to work, but it's useful. Disarming your enemy is a viable tactic in battle, so be ready. They will try to take the blade away from you because of its power.
I nod.
Go ahead. Hold out your hand and reach for the blade. Not with your body, but with your mind. See if it works.
I close my eyes and hold out my hand. Zoe immediately chastised me with the blunt side of the blade. Hitting it against my hand, I wince slightly and shake away the pain.
No, never close your eyes in battle. Did you not learn anything about combat in Valenorth? If you did that in a real battle, you'd be dead in mere seconds.
I shrug.
Now do it again, and look me in the eye. I have no use for you if you can't follow directions.
Doing as instructed, I look him in the eye. I focus as hard as I can and try to summon the blade. But after a few moments, nothing happens. Nothing at all.
Try harder, like your life depends on it. Because when you need to do this, it will.
Is he a romance option? Yeah, he is. In fact, everyone is a romance option, and you can be in more than one relationship, since this game accepts poly relationships, not like other games. I scoff softly, but try not to break the gaze. He squints, as if he's judging my movements. And after even more time, nothing happens.
I guess you need a little incentive.
Without any warning, he reaches behind himself. Pulling a dagger from the leather straps on his back, he attacks me. I take a defensive stance, and before he can harm me, I have possession of the blade. It appears in my hand, at the perfect angle and position to deflect Sobi's assault. His dagger is in deadlock with my blade, and he pushes me back against the alley wall.
So, it's your fear that powers you.
After a few moments, he backs off and puts away the dagger.
I was the same, until I mastered my fears. Then the blade responded to my willpower, my resolve. It can learn and grow just as much as you can, Monarch. If you learn to remain calm in the face of battle, you'll do fine. Without fear to rely on, the blade will find something else. What that is, however, is different from person to person. I'm eager to see what kind of person you become. For now, let's continue on our way. No more wasting time. When we have another moment together, I can teach you more.
He smiles and leaves the alleyway. I remain there by myself. It was hard not to be scared, given my situation and the upcoming battles. But if mastering those emotions made me a better wielder, then I had to try. I leave the alleyway and replay the recent events in my mind. My eye trails over to the drawing utensils that Sobi pointed out earlier. I wondered for a moment if I could get him a gift. Thank you for the lessons. Is that a good idea? Oh, so either don't get them or give them as a romantic gesture. How about get them as a thank you gift? Even though it is acceptable to romance with more than one character, I am loyal to Ulrich, so I'd rather it just be him and me. It probably wasn't a good idea, so I forget it and move on. Perhaps another time, as right now I was very busy. I leave the town square, ready to continue on my way. What I like about Winds and Chains is that you just have to be involved with the heart-to-heart. And the choices you make don't matter. You still gain their trust with each heart-to-heart. Now, I'm gonna assume I don't need to backtrack to Valnorth to find his third heart-to-heart. So, I'm gonna continue looking through, Museo, and then check the other places. No. Here we are. Sylvie Heart-to-Heart 3. Yes. I walk through the main atrium of the Rebel HQ. It's not fully clean. Blood still stains the floor. Armor is scattered about. I'm not sure what they plan to do with the pieces of the honor guard. Sylvie's looking around, and he appears sad. I don't blame him. This is why he launched his attack. Him and his men killed almost all of us. We almost lost that day.
I already had my doubt when we launched this attack. If only we had our fight a little bit earlier, I could have prevented this. Touching that blade at the same time as you, that was the catalyst. I don't think you knew the truth of the monarchy at that point. It's almost as if they were calling out to me, trying to change my stance. Well, I suppose it worked. I stand here, ready to repay you for my sins.
His words seem so genuine. It's almost hard to think he could be lying. At first, he seemed unsure about whether or not he'd rejoin the Triumvirate. What started out as a revenge quest against Halen has certainly grown quickly.
But we mustn't waste time on talk like that. Focusing on the past stops you from seeing the future. That's what is truly important. Your assault on Balteus.
I agree. Zoe doesn't seem like the one to waste time with pleasantries.
So, I guess I'll be teaching you 2 lessons this time. First of all, focus on the war. Don't waste time with being friendly. I've seen you and your comrades. That bond is dangerous during battle. We can't have you taking a sword for a loved one. You are this world's future, Monarch. You need to be smart. Feelings? They cloud judgment. I know this all too well, and so should you. And in your situation, it is best to rely on things that serve you without hesitation. A friend with emotional stakes may not follow every order. That is a major flaw. That blade, however, and the beings it can create, will cater to your desire.
He points to the suits of armor scattered around the floor. That means the next lesson must be related to the honor guard. The triumvirate could create a near infinite amount. Can I do that too?
Normally, the blade requires a sacrifice and the energy within to power that armor. But there is so much energy within you. I wonder if you could do it by yourself. Imagine an entire force of honor guard soldiers serving you. Such power. The triumvirate is right to want that blade back. In your hands, it is a threat. And it makes sense why they'd want you dead, too. You are the monarchy. Take out that blade for me, Monarch. Let's see if you can do what I think you can.
I do as instructed and take out the blade.
It responds to your will, your desire. Think of it as an extension of your body. A new muscle, ready to be trained. Hold it out toward those scattered pieces of armor. See if your resolve is strong enough to give them life. That's all it takes. A spark in your mind to ignite a flame.
I hold out the blade, pointing it towards the suits of armor. I keep my eyes focused on them, trying to control them. The pieces start to move, rocking back and forth. Focus with all of my strength, and they start to shake more. But as Sylvie mentioned, it's like a new muscle. I can't flex it for long. The pieces stop shaking and remain still, just as soon as they began to move.
Disappointing.
I scoff at him and assume a neutral stance.
It seems as if you can only use the blade while under duress. I suppose that's not too bad. We'll be in Balteus soon enough, after all. At least now you know what to do. Follow my directions and you'll be fine.
He starts to walk away, but quickly turns around.
There won't be enough time for you to master your fears. You might have to embrace these dangerous situations in order to prevail. But that blade is so powerful. I'd do whatever it takes to harness that power. I'll see you around, Monarch. Feel free to keep practicing if you feel the need. This is going better than I expected, to say the least.
This time, he dismisses himself for real. Embrace the danger to become more powerful? That seemed like backwards logic, but a lot of things were backwards lately. If the blade responded to my fear and danger, then I guess I knew what to do. Because Sylvie was right, I could never retrain myself in time for our final attack. What an odd situation to be in, but I guess in my position, I couldn't eschew risk. His implication was that if I were in danger, the suits of armor would have risen up. When the time comes, I can only hope that his prediction is correct. I wonder what other lessons there are to learn. What else could the blade do? Perhaps I'll learn more from Sobi the next time we meet, wherever that ended up being. His advice keeps playing on repeat in my mind. Emotional stakes could be a hindrance in battle? Would I truly let something like that endanger our cause? Would I sacrifice more to save a comrade? Or in this case, I guess it works the other way around. I close my eyes and pray that we never have to find out. Yeah, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Yep, they're letting me go back to Alarinthia. I might as well check and see if there is a Soviet heart-to-heart in Alarinthia. Oh, in my personal quarters. Oh, uh, the X in the war room means I haven't gained that person's loyalty yet. After I do this, though, I can get Howl and Sylvie's loyalty. I sat on my bed thinking about the blade and what I could do with it. As if on some sort of cue, I hear a knock on my door. Sylvie enters. He seems much more relaxed than normal, like he's comfortable.
So, did you manage to get any more practice in? Or were you just going to improvise when we got to Balteus? Both are good options given the circumstances. I'm just curious.
I got a lot of practice in. I think I'm doing better.
That's good. The more the better, that's what I say. But at the same time, you're limited. I trained my entire life. If you only have a few days, don't expect anything substantial.
He takes a few steps forward and sits beside me on the bed.
Being down here has made my mind race almost non-stop. I mean, what I did to you and your family is unforgivable. Yet here we are, trying to move past it, letting me atone. The most important thing on my mind is why? Why did you welcome me with open arms after what I did? I feel like anybody with common sense would have put me to the blade.
I could tell that you were being genuine. I trusted you.
I'm assuming you were the only one. The look I got from your comrades was definitely condemning. But then what makes you different? Why could you tell?
He sighs and slumps down a little bit.
Well, that's all I really wanted to talk about. If you'll excuse me, I'll be on my way. Good luck with everything, Monarch.
He gets up and walks away, a weight clearly on his shoulders. Thought I could help him out by offering answers to his questions. But wasn't it? Excuse me. But was it enough? Hopefully he wouldn't turn on us in Balteus. Something tells me we're very close to earning his full loyalty, however. Who once appeared to be a murderous villain was now showing a different side. I know that if we really did win him over, he'd be an indispensable asset in Balteus. And if that went well, he could even become a trusted soldier. Perhaps we'd be able to spend more time together before the final attack. I felt like we were incredibly close to ensuring he remained on our side no matter what. Sophie's loyalty scene has been unlocked. Yeah, now I can gain his loyalty. But before that, I have to make a separate save. Just in case I gotta do some post-recording and add it to the stream footage. Alright, let's view Sophie's loyalty scene. Huh? Sophie leads me to a boat and takes me on a short voyage. I have no idea where we're going, and our destination surprises me. It's not a place I've seen on any map, and looks unlike anything I've seen before. I follow behind him, unsure where we'll even end up. After a while, he turns to face me. I ask him for an explanation. I trusted him enough to follow him here, but I had my limits.
I know that we're almost at the end, Monarch. It won't be much longer before we arrive on Baltean soil. So, it only makes sense that I show you where everything began.
He gestures broadly at everything behind him.
I come from this backwater town, born and raised. It was wiped off the map after all the villagers were murdered. Given time, it might have even become the 5th nation of Alestia. But that was long ago, and nobody remembers this place. My parents were in charge of the area. They were incredibly wealthy. They had a force of men working the mines, cheap labor, and big profits.
It seems like Sophie was finally opening up to me. That was important. I needed to know that he could be trusted. And if things went well, his loyalty to our cause would be confirmed.
As their son, they had me oversee all of this labor. It was my job to make sure everybody hit their goals. I performed admirably, and put my foot down when needed.
He walks towards a nearby house and puts his hand on it. Taking a loud breath, I can tell he's reliving unpleasant memories.
Everything was going well, until the truth came out. The people who raised me weren't my parents. Not even close. They killed my parents while I was an infant and took over this town. Raising me as their own, our relationship was built on a lie. I was serving killers and usurpers. When I found out, I felt nothing but rage. They stole this land and the lives of its rightful rulers. Such an injustice.
The hand he was resting on the house slowly turns into a clenched fist.
I don't know what came over me, to be honest. I killed everybody. My so-called parents and all of the workers. I was lied to by those who swore they loved me. I couldn't take it. By rule of inheritance, in that moment, this town became mine. But there was nobody else, and I was all by myself. I no longer wanted to live. I took myself to the cliff's edge and thought about throwing myself into the ocean.
He turns back to face me, and I can see how sad he really is.
That's when Ulrich found me. He made sure I didn't do anything stupid. I don't know how he came across me when he did. I thought it could be Providence. But he saved me, and I told him everything. Instead of scolding me, he praised me.
Oh.
I was shocked. I expected to be dragged to the nearest prison. But he took me right to the Triumvirate and told them my story. That's when they wanted me to become his apprentice. I accepted. My desire for justice was something they wanted on their side. But I no longer fought for my home village. I fought for all of Alestia. I swore an oath to them that I would always fight for the rulers of this world. At the time, I believed it was them. But learning the truth of the monarchy, it just opened old wounds. I saw the Triumvirate in a new light, much like I saw my so-called parents. Once more, the desire for justice rose to the forefront of my mind. You may think my allegiance changed and that it was a sudden shift, but it's not true. I've always fought for the same thing. It's just that sometimes the tables need a little turning.
He crosses his arms and seems to be done talking for now. He leads me further into the village, and I follow, trusting him more. We eventually end up at a large building, one that served as the town hall.
You may notice the bloodstains, but don't worry. I threw all the bodies off a cliff with Ulrich. You won't be seeing anything gruesome, I can assure you.
What an odd way to put my mind at ease.
This is where my parents lived. I was never really allowed in. I guess I should stop calling them my parents. They were more like captors. I longed to see the world, but I obeyed them out of a feeling of loyalty. I slaved away. Sometimes I'd sneak into my father's office and peel the stamps off of his letters. They were incoming letters, so it's not like they had any use. I started to collect them. I stuck them to my bedroom wall and told myself that one day I'd go and see those places. One day, I wanted to be free.
He lets out a loud sigh.
I thought I was free when the Triumvirate took me in. But it turns out I just traded one form of bondage for another. Shackles moved from my wrists to my heart. I don't know which is worse.
He holds a hand close to his heart.
They pressed the blade against my chest and gave me some of its power. It allowed me to use it as my own, and gave me what they deemed eternal life. Ulrich grew to see this as an awful curse, but I embraced it. And to this day, I still do.
So, or hundreds of years older like him.
I see myself as a defender. I want to protect the reign of Alestia's true rulers. If the monarchy is restored to power, I will protect you and all of your descendants. You have my word, and you know why I served the enemy. My virtue was simply misplaced. But now it rests with you, the true heir to the throne of Alestia. And that is where it shall remain, as long as I've proven my loyalty to you. Knowing everything that you do you trust me to protect you in battle?
You know what? I do. I trust you now. You've earned it.
Thank you very much, Monarch. I knew I picked the right way to tell you the truth. If we did this anywhere else, it might have fallen flat.
He smiles, and I can tell he's extremely relieved.
I needed to get this off my chest before our attack on Balteus. Not knowing whether I had your trust, it was too much. We're comrades now, though, and I'm no longer worried.
I think Ulrich will be happy that you are the man he used to call a friend again. With that, it seems like our business here is done. The choice to trust me with his past and confide it to me meant a lot. None of my comrades had to carry their burden alone. We were in this together.
Let's get back to Mazeo, all right? I'm sure there's lots to do before the end. Thanks for joining me, but I think we need to leave.
I have earned Sovi's loyalty. We start walking back the way we came and head to our boat. This place was wiped off the map. I had no idea that it existed. Makes me wonder just what else this world could be hiding. Before we get on the boat, look back at the town one last time. After the war was over, maybe we could rebuild this place and grow it. A new nation with new rules. If we have that opportunity, we should seize it. We start to sail away and leave this place behind us for now. But I know Sophie better than I did before, and that could only bring good. He was carrying a weight on his shoulders, and was no longer there. Alright, all that's left is to do Hal's loyalty scene. Hal enters my quarters, carrying an aura of purpose with him. After Eastcrown, I know that something big has been on his mind. We were so close to the final battle, it was probably time for us to talk.
Monarch, we must speak with you. It's about our upcoming attack on Balteus. At least we think it is. Things have become complicated.
What do you mean?
We may be walking into a trap. This may be all part of the Triumvirate's plan.
Plan? What plan?
Take their blade, feed it power, and then bring it back. This may be what they've wanted all along. We've seen it. Everything we've done has only made their weapon stronger.
Please tell me what you're thinking, Howl.
They let us steal their blade. They wanted it to happen. They knew we'd bring it here, feed it death, and tap into the idol. But not only that, we're bringing it right back to them, stronger than ever. You may think we are wrong, that this is just a foolish theory, but we must only look into the visions to realize the truth. That, combined with some of your actions, like clockwork.
What do you mean by clockwork?
It's almost like sometimes you have no other choice. You say or do things that pushes down a certain path, but more often than not, that path leads us to death. How convenient then that the blade feeds off of death. In your hands, it has gotten more powerful than ever before. But what force, what invisible hand guides us down this path? It's quite simple, but we were always looking at it the wrong way. Venturing into Eastcrown and seeing that ship, made us realize that. When we approach things from a different angle, it all made sense.
Perhaps you could start making sense to me then?
We've been struggling with visions of these different pasts. They seem to come out of nowhere and complicate things. Until recently, we only had to process visions of the future.
He crosses his arms.
At least, that's what we thought.
I take a step forward, interested to see where he's going with this.
But now we realize we've never seen the future at all. It's impossible to see what has not yet been written, but it is easy to see what has already happened.
Now he's lost me, once again.
These visions of different pasts aren't as out of place as we thought. You were told you had visions of the future, and chose to believe that fact. But they are not visions of the future. They, too, are simply different pasts.
What?
The key to all of this is the Blade of Exodus. It's a constant in every vision, but the power within it varies, even when it shouldn't. There are inconsistencies. Even if we have a vision of the same situation, the power inside the blade is different. The Triumvirate has some sort of dominion over time. That much is clear. They possess the ability to grant their subjects eternal life, like Ulrich and Sovi. We need to operate under the assumption that this ability can be used in other ways.
He eyes the blade on my back.
Mainly, in a way that could be used to strengthen the Blade of Exodus. They could create a cycle full of death and despair that we are unable to break. When the cycle reaches an end, they could revert time and gather that power all over again. The visions of the future you thought you were having, they aren't what you thought. We believe they are visions of cycles in the past. Perhaps cycles where we have perished. Did your visions of the future involve your death in any way? Think about this, Monarch.
Now that he mentions it, they did. I was stabbed by Sovi in the vision that started all of this. And after touching the blade, my series of visions ended with me getting stabbed. That's odd. I tell him these stories, and he smirks. It seems I'm only confirming his outlandish theories.
Those were visions of past cycles, Monarch. Cycles where we failed. When we look at it like this, these different pasts make perfect sense. We've been looking at them all wrong, that is, until just recently. It seems that we retain some prior knowledge from these cycles. Perhaps that is why we act in certain ways, as if we have no options. In the back of our mind, we're pushing ourselves in the same direction.
Cycles? Directions? Are we on a time loop or something? Please explain.
We think the Triumvirate is manipulating time. They are doing this in order to make the blade even stronger. The occupation, the formation of the rebellion, and the attack in the tunnels. All of those casualties simply serve to give the blade more power. We have no doubt that many will perish when we assault Balteus as well. But when the time comes, they can simply make it happen all over again.
This is almost too much to comprehend. Man, so we are stuck in a time loop.
It makes sense when you think about it, especially with these tunnels. Those suits of armor knew exactly how to fortify this place for your army. They must have retained their knowledge and adapted each and every time. But only one question remains unanswered. Why? Why do they want to make this blade even stronger? What is their endgame? What do they desire? It is very possible that we are walking into a trap. That is, unless the blade has enough power to defeat them. Their plan, if it's as I expect, is a double-edged sword.
What do you mean?
An infinite cycle created specifically to power the blade. There must be a cycle, a prime cycle, where we have the power to defeat them. A point where the blade is strong enough for us to win, but not yet strong enough for them. All we can do is hope that we've reached that cycle. The power in that blade is immense, but isn't enough. Hopefully you understand what we are trying to say.
He's trying to tell me that we're trapped in some sort of time loop? A loop that a triumvirate fastened in order to give the blade power? And not only that, but I never saw the future. I only saw failed past endeavors. It's hard to believe, but death has definitely followed me and my allies. If their goal was to feed the blade with power, then they have certainly succeeded. But how far back does this cycle go? Could it reach as far back as the occupation? Wait a minute. Attack Mazeo, kill innocents, and incite a rebellion. Attack that rebellion, provoke them into attacking your home, and then destroy them. With what Hal said, it almost does seem likely that we're walking into a trap. This can't be.
The reason we see these things is because of the energy within us. It makes us sensitive in a way that others are not. We are both special, but I don't think visions are the only benefit of this power. There is more. Perhaps you see a flash of events that are happening elsewhere. Perhaps you can relive a conversation that has already happened. These echoes of past cycles manifest themselves in many ways. But when we look at it this way, everything makes sense. Everything has an explanation, and nothing is left up in the air. The only question is, do you believe us? Do you think we are correct?
I believe you, Hal. It makes everything seem more clear.
Good. We knew you would see the truth of things. This was an impossible matter to discuss with anybody else. We are special. And now we finally understand the reason why.
He turns to leave, but tilts his head back to address me one more time. I guess he wanted to leave no stone unturned before our attack on Balteus.
The Triumvirate is up to something. That much is clear. If it aligns with our theory, at least you will be able to act. Getting caught off guard would damage us beyond repair. That is not something we want our monarch to endure. Be prepared for anything, for the enemy will stop at nothing. If you can do this, then perhaps our victory will be more likely.
Bonds unbroken. With that said, he sees himself out of my room. That all came out of nowhere, and I'm not sure how to react. One thing was clear, there was so much we didn't know. Would we learn the truth in Balteus? Or would we even make it that far? I don't know. I start to feel uneasy, even with all this new knowledge. Do we really have been fundamentally wrong about everything? As I go about my business, it's impossible to shake that thought out of my head. Well, we did it. We've earned the loyalty of everyone. Morale is at 100%. We have morale at 100%. We've collected all the books. This is it. We can finally make the journey to Balteus and end everything. But before we do that, I would like to get up and stretch, so give me a minute or two. I'll be right back. I know. I know. I I didn't put up the BRB screen. I'm sorry. I'm back now. Okay, OBS is looking good. Traveling to Balteus is the point of no return. Make sure you have completed all the content you desire. There will be no coming back, as Act 5 is the finale. Travel to Balteus? Yes, let's do this. I make my way to the docks, happy to see that almost everybody else has done the same. Our forces align the entire area. Dozens of ships are ours to command. We stand a real chance. Making my way down the docks, I notice all of our forces talking amongst themselves. This is the unity that our world needed, the unity that we're fighting for. Though not everybody saw eye to eye, they could all coexist with one another. There would be no more oppression for those who thought differently than our rulers. That is, of course, if we won. Miles is nowhere to be seen, but somehow I'm not surprised. He came to Alarinthia and back, and for that I was grateful. It was time for him to rest, focus on what to do next. I noticed Sobi helping out forces load supplies onto the boat. The gamble of letting him join our side seems to be paying off. I'm certain his help would be invaluable as we entered Balteus. As I continue down the docks, eyes start to fixate on me. Not just me, but the blade upon my back as well. They all knew who I was. At this moment, I feel the weight resting on my shoulders, and I stand strong. This is a burden that I was ready to carry. No, this is a burden that I was born to carry. I smile at them as I walk by, and they do so in turn. As I walk, I eventually run into Dominic. He's always seeing everybody's efforts, making sure it goes smoothly. There was a lot to transport. We'd all need weapons, food, and drink.
Quite the army, isn't it? Sailus would be proud. I know he would. Forgive me for taking charge, though. You deserve a break. Or at least a chance to save your energy. You'll need most of it in Balteus, not here. We'll take care of everything until then.
I nod, thankful that Dominic is taking the initiative. I definitely need to use the voyage as time to prepare. My skill with this blade is limited, but I know I can improve.
I made sure to put us on the same boat as each other. Everyone, actually. Howl, Valessa, Fortane, Ulrich, Pro. It's probably best if we're all together for the end of this journey.
Yes, thank you. That much was true. I need my friends and my mate by my side for this. We were about to change the entire world. We'd be slaying gods. Part of me wonders just who they are and why they do what they've done. There's probably no point in concerning myself with that information. No, nothing about them could excuse what they've done. They need to fall. I thank Dominic for everything that he's done, and this makes him happy.
Of course, Monarch. Anything to help you out. But I think we're almost ready to set sail. Want to get on board? Might as well lead by example. A lot of people are just standing around.
I nod, and we start making our way towards the boat. Our vessel is the same one we used to get to Alawinthia. It's a bit bigger than the rest, and would work as a mobile HQ. When I get back to the deck, I turn around and look at the docks. Everyone is saying their final goodbyes, since we might not make it back. I give them all the time they need, and slowly watch as they board our fleet. Might not make it back either. That thought fills me with fright. Taking one last look at Mazaean soil, I say goodbye under my breath. What happened next would change the course of Alestia history forever. Alestian. Turning around to face the deck, I notice that Sophie is waving me over. I walk towards him, wondering what it could be about. It seems important. As I make my way across the ship, I notice all my comrades scurrying about.
I'm glad that they put us all on the same boat. I must say, I've gotten used to you and your friends. Being placed anywhere else would be pretty uncomfortable. I just wanted to tell you that I gave Damek some information. He's forming a plan of attack as we speak, so it definitely helped. When it comes to Balteus and the Triumvirate, I know more than anybody. I'm sorry for what we did to him during our attack, by the way. I ordered Shane to stab him, so it's technically my fault. He seems fine though, so no hard feelings?
I shrug, uncertain of how to respond. If it happened any differently, he'd be dead for sure. It feels a bit beyond coincidence, but I don't stop to question it.
They might not tell your allies that I gave them this information, though. Not everybody trusts me, so it would probably just cause more harm than good. I'm not here to cause harm, so we all agreed it was best to omit a few facts.
It makes sense, so I understand where they're coming from. Fighting amongst ourselves is the last thing we need before the final battle. It was a time to stand strong and united, a time to trust one another unconditionally.
That's it, really. I just thought you deserved to know it came from me. I did promise information that would help your final attack, after all. If anything else comes to mind, I'll make sure to bring it to attention.
He's definitely going to get great lengths to make himself seem genuine. That's good. There was a lot of doubt in the area surrounding this alliance. The people may not know he tipped us off, but they didn't really have to. He turns away from me and stares into the distance. I guess this talk is over. You missed what he said, Minotaur? Oh, I can give you a refresher. So, he gave Dominic information. He apologized for the attack on HQ. They're gonna keep quiet about the information. And that's it. He turns away from me and stares into the distance. I guess this talk is over. I decided to make my way to Dominic and Howell to see what information he gave them. Before I can get there, I'm interrupted by my comrades. They seem really excited. We exchange hugs and pleasantries for a few moments. Are they really happy? Or are they just putting on an act? It's hard to tell, since this is the calm before the storm.
Hey there, Monarch. Glad to see you made it here. I'm happy we're all on the same boat.
Yeah, it makes me feel way better. If I was stuck with other people, I'd be worried, but in this situation, I'm not. I'm perfectly comfortable.
I'm just doing my best to hang in there. This whole life at sea thing really isn't my style. I can't wait to get back and settle down for good.
Knock on wood, bro. Don't get arrogant before the final battle. This is a huge gamble. You need to give it your all.
Me? Arrogant? Never. Anyway, I need to take my mind off of this water stuff. How about we go sit in the crew quarters and play some cards?
Sure, but I think Dominic is about to make a speech. He's been lost in conversation with Hal for a while now. I overheard them talking about our plan of attack in Balteus.
Alright, I can wait. Maybe you should get over there, Monarch. I'm pretty sure that's something you'll want to be a part of.
That's true, and I was making my way over there anyway. Only can pro go about the business, but I've been less than 4 times stay.
Good luck, Monarch. I hope we get to spend more time together, but I understand if we don't get to. This is probably the most important moment of your life, so do whatever you need.
Yeah, as much as we need you, I think the world needs you more. Hopefully, this isn't goodbye. But there's always a chance that it is. Since we're going to Balteus, we need to treat that as a real option.
It's true, as grim as it made the conversation feel. Before I could respond, they both stepped forward and hugged me at the same time. I let out a soft laugh and wrapped my arms around them. Together, we've all come this so far.
Thanks for everything, Monarch. I think you have some planning to do, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, just know that I'll never forget our time together. If we play our cards right, then we can have more of that after the war. I know things have been crazy, but with you two by my side, it's been easier.
With the hug broken, we nodded one another with big smiles. I'm sure we'd see each other again, so I don't let it get me down. There was no way we'd get to the end of this without crossing paths again. I make my way over to Dominic and Hal, scanning my surroundings as I do. Our pirate allies run about the ship, making last-minute preparations and adjustments. It's nice to know that we had added their sailing expertise, so many important people were on board. Because of that, something told me that our ship would be in the very front of the pack. But I wouldn't know for sure until I talked to Dominic and Hal. They turned to face me. I can tell that they're stressed out. It's apparent on their faces. I ask them what's up.
Hey, Monarch. We were just taking care of some planning. I think we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do. Now that we've talked it out, I think our chances are great.
Dominic is correct. Our confidence has increased tenfold. Thanks to some last-minute information, we now have the edge. Hopefully we can keep that when we put our plan into practice.
They both glance over at Sobi. I know that he gave them the information. I'm glad that they trusted him enough to base their plan around his intel. Back when we left Alaminthia, our alliance and trust seemed so shaky.
I guess I should tell everybody what we're planning then. I'll go stand at the head of the ship and give myself a platform. They might want to hear from you too, Monarch, so be ready.
I stand back and watch as they take slow steps towards the head of the ship. I didn't even know what they were planning, so I'd be learning it at the same time. However, due to the fact that they were working together, I knew we were in good hands. Alex watches him pass by, and I could tell that he's tired of waiting around. It wouldn't be much longer before we set sail, so I hope he can wait a bit longer. Once the pirates start preparing the ship to leave, their shouts would drown everything out. After a few more moments, he reaches the head of the ship and clears his throat. Gathering the attention of everybody nearby, he mounts a crate to get higher ground. A silence overtakes the entire ship, but he has no problem rising to overcome it.
Well, I guess this is the eve of our final attack. I know many of you are wondering just what's going to happen. I'll explain more later, but right now, I can tell you a bit of what we're planning. We should arrive in Balteus just as the sun is rising, When we do, we'll be all meeting at a central location for one final meeting. It's important that everybody is on the same page before we take any big steps. However, our first big step will be to secure the Grand Library. Holding the proprietor hostage, we'll station our army there as a pseudo-HQ. I bet you're wondering why we've chosen the library. Well, our reasoning is twofold. First of all, we've been told that the honor guard cannot set foot inside. There's some sort of ward on the property, presumably so the owner can be alone. We're not sure why they prefer to work alone, but we know they're important to the Triumvirate. That is part of our second reason. Taking them hostage, we will extract information. We need anything we can gather that will help us with our next step, the final attack. While information is extracted, we can use the safety of the library to rest and recuperate. After that rest, we will gather one more time and begin our final assault. The Monarch will lead a small team and infiltrate the castle, attacking the Triumvirate directly. The rest of us will lead the honor guard to the town square and fight them there as a distraction. With the distraction as large as we're planning, the Monarch should be unimpeded. He will kill the Triumvirate and destroy the large idol at the back of their chambers. We believe this idol to be of importance to them, so we must destroy it in order to win. With the blade plunged into that idol, the Monarch will tap into its power. He will use it to deactivate the honor guard, and the suits of armor will crumble. At that point, victory is ours. We will gather in the castle atrium and count the survivors.
Everybody looks at me as Dominic explains this part of the plan. It's my first time hearing it, but all of it makes perfect sense. It's a good strategy. We don't know what the idol is, but I could definitely use its power like it did in our HQ. With the Triumvirate dead and the honor guard dissolved, victory was ours. We'd still have to worry about Halen and Shane, but I'm sure they'd pop up somewhere. I feel confident. Giving everybody a nod, they turn their attention back to Dominic's platform.
As soon as we arrive, I'll share this plan with everybody else. So until then, I'd advise getting some rest. You're going to need it. That is, unless there's anything you want to say to all of us, Monarch.
All eyes are on me once again, and I take a few steps forward. Dominic jumps off the crate, leaving me a platform to stand on. A speech? I've never given one of those in my life. I don't know. My uncertainty must come across in my demeanor as they start urging me on. They even break away from each other, leaving a clear path for me to walk forward. I am technically their leader. It makes sense for me to talk. I'd have to get used to this. I continue to walk forward and notice smiles appear on their faces. The impact that my actions and attitude have on everybody here is very clear. It's a good thing that this level of responsibility was given to someone who can handle it. A few moments later, I'm on top of the crate, matching the deep gaze of all my subjects. Silence overtakes everything. I can hear the calm of the water against the docks of Mazeo. It was clear that I'd have to break this silence. I clear my throat and think of what I should say. Oh. We stand here today as harbingers of justice. Through us, it is time for the monarchy to speak. And it is time for our enemy to realize that we will stop at nothing to see them fall. They start to mutter amongst themselves, nodding in agreement with everything I say. This journey could have easily compromised us and forced us to do unspeakable things. But we can rest easy knowing that we've clung to our values and traditions. We are better than them. And that is exactly why we will win. A bunch of them start cheering, with widened grins on their faces. I'm speaking from the heart, speaking from instinct, and it's working. I smile now too, and my words from this moment on are filled with confidence. We will leave behind a world of freedom. We will embrace everybody who has been wrongfully oppressed. Put simply, We will give hope to those who have found their own was stolen. Their own will was stolen. Due to the Triumvirate's rule, that number is far too high, but it ends now. No longer will victims find themselves blinded by revenge. No longer will servants find themselves lost to a quest for redemption. The crowd is roaring with applause, cheering on my every word. I know they want more, so I try and think of what I should say next. We have more power than any group of people who have ever spoken up against the Triumvirate. Unbreakable like our will, we have vessels containing spirits of the monarchy. We no longer fight for ourselves, we fight for a lost civilization. This is why we're unstoppable. I grab the blade from my back and slowly unsheath it. But most importantly, we have this. Pulling the blade out, they explode with even more applause. I heard a symbol that almost guaranteed. I held a symbol that almost guaranteed our victory and our freedom. Nobody has ever had, or even will, have a better chance of taking them down. Using this blade, I will create a world just like sailors had always envisioned. When this is all over, we will live in a united world. We will stand together, strong. Everybody will have a voice, and together we will find harmony. We will find peace. I put the blade back in its scabbard, signaling that I'm almost done speaking. Raising my fist in the air, I give out one last shout, one last call to unify our cause. For the monarchy! With a wide smile, and met with a large round of applause, I jump off the crate. Taking it as a sign that we're ready to depart, the pirates start preparing to set sail. I should probably meet with Dominic and Hal one last time, before deciding what to do. As I approach them, I notice they look happier than I've ever seen. I never saw myself as a public speaker, so I'm quite surprised at what happened. Doubts of my efficacy were still there, but seeing my comrades smile helped that worry dissipate.
Eloquently put, Monarch. Better than my own speeches, I have to admit. I could see just how much everybody looks up to you.
It was quite impressive, we must say. You're going to make a fine leader. We're sure of it. The greatest asset of any ruler is the ability to inspire hope.
And I'd say we have that in droves now. I trust that you're okay with our plan, Monarch. Sorry that we didn't have time to pass it by you first.
I nod. It all seems good.
Good. It seems everything is now in order. Perhaps you should go and get some rest, Monarch. We will wake you if there are any matters of importance.
Yeah. We need you rested when we reach Balteus. You know our plan, and the pirates are about to set sail. There's nothing left for you to do. At least for now.
I guess he was right. Until we arrived, things were out of my hands. After thanking them for the opportunity, I make my way to the crew quarters. I value the opportunity to rest, but given the circumstances, that rest won't come easy. Oh boy. Halen and Shane gather at the docks of Balteus. Surrounded by honor guard, they order them to prepare a small fleet. They knew the end was coming, and they had to meet it head on.
What was your reasoning behind this again? I'm surprised the Triumvirate decided to play along with your plan.
They have to come by sea, and this is the main point of entry. If we leave from here, we can intercept them before they arrive. The plan is to thin out their numbers as early as possible.
What if this fails and they sink our fleet?
Scared of dying, are you?
No, that's not what I meant. It's a valid concern, Shane.
Well, in my case, I don't really have anything left to lose. Let me lead this charge myself, Halen. You can go back to the castle. You'll be needed there for a second line of defense, if they make it that far.
I trust that they won't.
Me too. Just tell the Triumvirate I'll be there soon. I have no intention of dying. Not to any of those weaklings.
Shane instructs the honor guard to get on board the ships. It's a small fleet of only a few ships. Halen watches and scoffs.
You have a death wish, you know that. I get that you hate them, but don't throw your life away. The Triumvirate rewards service. Keep that in mind, all right?
Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I'll be back before you know it, so go and have a rest. Just wait, Halen. If they even arrive, you'll find that their hope is lost.
Halen smiles, a sinister smirk. He knows exactly what Shane is implying.
Very well. I can get behind that thought. Be careful, though. You're a good apprentice, Shane. I trust that you and the Honor Guard will do some real damage.
Yeah, that's the idea. I'll see you back at the castle.
Sure.
Halen starts to walk away, but quickly turns around.
You know, Sovi never let me do stuff like this. As his apprentice, he shut down almost every plan I ever had. I have to be better than him, though. I'm trusting you with a lot here.
Don't worry, I promise not to let you down. The rebellion ends today. You have my word, Master.
Halen nods and starts making his way back to the castle. Shane remains, muttering to himself with trembled fists.
And it all starts with that little figurehead of theirs. It's almost time, Seer. You'll be joining Domek soon enough.
I can't wait to see his reaction when he sees Domek alive and well. I toss and turn, getting minimal amounts of sleep. The blade rests against my bed, ready to grab at a moment's notice. I fade in and out of sleep, finding a mixture of both anxiety and tranquility. Just when I'm about to fall asleep, a negative thought jolts me back awake. We had no idea what would happen when we arrived in Balteus. It was terrifying. I realize that sleeping probably isn't going to happen right now, so I get out of the hard bed. Just as I do, I notice somebody approaching out of the corner of my eye. Grabbing my blade, I prepare myself for anything out of a twisted paranoia.
Hey now, put that thing away. I didn't mean to startle you, Monarch.
I keep hoping that Ulrich is gonna appear and so we can have some one-on-one time. But it's a relief that it's just Vivian.
It appears there's been some complications. Domek wanted me to tell you that you're needed on deck. You'll see what I mean when you get up there, alright?
Ayo? Hey Bowser K, thanks for coming to the stream. We are making our way to Balteus. The final act of this story. I nod. It must be important if he's interrupting my rest. As I start to walk away, Vivian pulls a hand on my shoulder.
And I just wanted to tell you that I know what happened in Alarinthia. I know that Pro and Ulrich teamed up in order to throw our fight.
I gulp, unsure of how Vivian would react to such a news. Much to my surprise, he lets out a hearty laugh.
You know, I always said that Alarinthia needed to be ruled with smarts. Draco would just sit in his throne, thinking that strength solved everything. Using a scheme like they did to outsmart him. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Besides, it also sent a message to every Alarinthian. Their old way of doing things was wrong. Individual strength doesn't matter. It's how strong we are when we team up, under shared ideals, that truly matters. And for sending them that message, I commend you. Good luck out there on the deck. I think you'll need it.
He releases his grip on my shoulder. For a moment, I was scared things would go south. I'm glad that he's so accepting of what transpired. Dropping the issue from my mind, I head up to the deck. I had no idea why Dominic needed me, but that thought was frightening. Slowly ascending the steps, my mind is plagued with unfortunate possibilities. As soon as I arrive on deck, I see exactly why I was needed. Off in the distance, We're met by a fleet of ships belonging to the Triumvirate. They're far, but not far enough away that the scene of the honor guard is concealed. Dominic and Hal immediately went over. I could see the panic on their faces. It was clear that battle would be imminent. I meet them halfway to see what their plan is.
We have no plan. Perhaps this is time for Dominic to shine. A master strategist. Is that not what your people say?
Hal, this is no time to be petty. We need to put our heads together and figure this out. Let's see. It's a small fleet, maybe only half the size of ours.
Naval warfare was not something the monarchy practiced. We lived in peace, Dominic. Our world was not discordant like this one.
We exchange glances. Dominic seems uncertain and a little worried. He strikes a pose of thought, and it's a while before he breaks the silence.
Okay, I'll do it. We know this battle is lost if the Monarch doesn't make it ashore. So our goal should be securing the safety of this boat and the lives of those on board. This is when we need to rely on everyone's strengths. We need the pirates to take action.
He waves over to Alex.
Alex, we need you to order your forces to charge. This is precisely why I wanted to form a treaty, for battle at sea. I need you to occupy the forces. Distract them while we slip by.
Slip by? They'll notice you right away. Baltean ships are equipped with projectile weaponry. One or two good shots and you'll be underwater in minutes.
That's what I'm counting on.
Huh?
We're going to let them sink this ship.
Are you crazy?
I have a plan, Alex. Everybody, listen up. We'll time it so we're close by when they hit us. As we sink, we can hop over to their ship and hijack it. Using their own projectile weapons, we'll start sinking them one by one. Their attention will be divided. They'll be getting attacked from multiple sides. We can use that to our advantage. They won't be able to retaliate through the chaos.
Right, of course. Should I send the order right now?
Yeah, we need to do this immediately. There's no room for error. This is the end.
Yes, sir.
Alex runs off and climbs the netting of the ship. I look over at the other ships, and pirates start doing the same. It's almost like they have an entire language to communicate over long distances. That was an impressive sight to see. However, seeing Dominic think on his feet was equally impressive. With a sigh and a smile, confidence overtakes the panic from moments before.
Dominic, we must say, that was pretty impressive. Hopefully now you realize that visions only hold you back.
Huh?
Look at what happened back in the Rebel HQ. You relied on a vision. You tried to fulfill some prophecy. In a way, that is limiting. You plan your strategy around certainties. But there are no certainties in war. Assume that the enemy is a counter for your every action. In this case, we should also plan for a scenario where the enemy prevails.
Dominic shakes his head.
They won't. Simply because we can't afford it. Any losses at this point would mean the end of our cause. Trust in the pirates, Hal. Trust in all of us. We can do this.
Hal simply nods. Moments later, the pirates launch their assault. We all lose our balance as our ship takes a sharp turn, moving in a new direction. This is a risky plan, but like Dominic requested, I chose to place my trust in him. If trust wouldn't carry us to victory, then it would be our strength and resolve. If trust wouldn't carry us to victory, I hold on to the side of the ship as our speed increases. Everybody braces themselves. Not sure what's going on, so Dominic draws his sword and raises it into the air.
Everybody listen up. The final hour is upon us. Our pirate army will be charging against the enemy fleet. While they're distracted, we'll slip in and hijack one of their ships. That means we'll be sacrificing this vessel, so don't be alarmed if they deal us a fatal blow. As we're sinking, we'll jump over and board the enemy. Their ships are equipped with projectile weaponry. Using their own ship, we will turn their weapons against them. They won't know where to focus, and we'll use the chaos to our advantage.
He starts to talk a bit louder as our ship picks up speed. We move away from the main fleet, preparing to approach from the flank. I notice the soldiers nod, accepting Dominic's orders and plan without hesitation.
If things go south, I need all of you to protect the Monarch. Without him, we will lose not only this battle, but the war as well. His life and the blade that he carries should be our top priority. Do I make myself clear?
Everybody cheers in approval and raises their sword like Dominic. Then we all stand and watch the bulk of our fleet as the battle begins. We slowly move away from the action, and I can tell that some are relieved. As soon as the pirates get close enough, the honor guard retaliates. They launch heavy projectiles from catapults and shoot harpoons from wooden structures. The pirates, with their sailing expertise, are mostly able to counter by altering their trajectory. However, not all of them can do so. I witness several ships get torn apart and start to sink. My heart sinks with them, knowing that they were willing to sacrifice themselves for me. It seems that the battle is on in full force. They get closer and start to board each other. I can hear swords clashing as the honor guard tries to defend against the pirates' charge. Ships on both sides start to sink, and soon enough, it's almost impossible to see what's happening. From this distance, it's too chaotic, but if enemy ships are sinking, we must have seized some weapons. That means the tables have started to turn, but it's up to us to play our part as well. I turn back and look at where we're headed. We're dangerously close to some enemy ships. Dominic calls out to everybody, shifting their attention away from the distant battle.
This is it. There's no turning back. Everybody, brace yourselves to charge!
I can see the honor guard prepare their weapons. When I scan my surroundings, I can see our forces prepare as well. A line of archers forms, ready to attack the enemies at a moment's notice.
Hold!
He places a fist in the air, and a tense silence follows. Both sides are armed. The question is, who attacks first? I take a deep breath and pull out the Blade of Exodus.
Hold!
I look over at the ships we've left behind. The numbers are easily halved. But this goes for the enemy as well. This was clearly the turning point. What happened next would decide the fate of our entire cause. And it began with a barrage of projectile weaponry. The enemy attacked our ship with everything they had. You can feel the hull getting torn apart, and everything starts shaking.
Fire!
The archers return fire, knocking out the suits of armor manning the weapons. I look back at the wheel of the ship, and Alex spins it, turning us towards the enemy vessels.
I hope you're ready to jump!
Dominic nods, and then a moment later, everything erupts into chaos. Our forces jump to the enemy ship after a long running start. They land safely and start decimating the honor guard.
See you on the other side, Monarch!
With a smirk, he follows our soldiers, jumping across the enemy ship. Landing with a roll, he immediately starts fighting, displaying impressive skill. I didn't get to see him fight in our HQ or in Elementhia. It's quite the sight. He dodges the enemy attacks with ease and retaliates with expertise. Taking out multiple suits of armor with a single swing, he clearly holds his own. I turn around and order the remaining soldiers to charge. I save myself for last. But before I jump, I notice that Alex is still at the wheel. I shout his name and tell him to get across as soon as possible. The ship has already started to sink, and water rises at my feet.
You know, any good captain is supposed to go down with their ship. But I guess there's no point living my life by an outdated code of honor. Thanks to the treaty, there'll be a new life waiting for me after all of this.
He leaves the wheel behind and places a hand on my shoulder.
And honestly, it's all thanks to you. Let's make this jump together, Monarch. We're a team until the end, no matter what!
No matter what. We move to the opposite side of the ship, putting distance between us and the enemy vessel. I notice that most of the honor guard has fallen, and our soldiers are manning the weaponry. That's a good sign. With the feeling that victory is ours, Alex and I start to sprint towards the enemy. He makes it there first, jumping up on the railing of our ship and launching himself across the gap. I'm not too far behind. And I jump.
What's this?
I guess you like Alex, Bowser K. Anyway, I'm not too far behind, and I jump up on the railing moments after. However, I make it no further. An arrow pierces through my shoulder, and I fall back onto our ship in a pool of freezing water. Oh no! I pull out the arrow with a grunt. Blood oozes from the wound, but it's nothing major. We could patch it up as soon as the enemy ships were taken care of. I rise to my feet. Looking up, I immediately notice the source of the arrow. It wasn't the honor guard. Oh no! It was Shane! With an evil smirk, he jumps across, boarding our ship. It's still sinking, but I have time. If I can take care of him fast enough, then I'd be able to carry out my plan as originally intended. Instead of coming for me, he runs towards the wheel, steering our ship away from the chaos. That wasn't good. My time was limited if we were both sinking and making the distance greater. He must have known exactly what he's doing. Part of me wonders if we played into some sort of trap. I look at my allies, and they seem to be doing a good enough job as they enact our plan. My fist shakes as I grip the blade of Exodus. Shane scoffs as he watches. I shout at him in anger and despair. Wait, I should be voicing this. Traitor! He almost killed Dominic. He caused irreparable damage to my family.
A traitor? Not from where I'm standing. Dominic abandoned me. And it's all because of you. He's a selfish fool. All he cares about is that stupid sword.
I keep walking towards him, and the ship shakes violently. Water keeps spilling on the deck, and I'm standing almost ankle deep.
I had a plan. We had a plan. And he threw it all away. The moment you walked through that door, he let you replace me. He left me to rot in the Triumvirate's prison because you were more convenient.
That's not true. I try and reason with Shane, but to no avail.
You saw how many people died in your HQ during that little attack. If you couldn't wield that sword, you'd be buried down there with the rest of them. Dominic didn't care about you or your friends. He only cared about your power.
Again, that's not true. He's clearly been converted by the Triumvirate.
I was thinking long and hard about what I should do. You know, what was my place in all this?
Much to my surprise, he throws both of his daggers on the ground.
And I realized that if I served the Triumvirate, I'd receive the same power. It seemed fitting. End Domic's rebellion with the same thing he was relying on.
He smirks, and I can tell that the man Domic cared about was already dead.
I wish he could be here to see this. But you'll tell him the story, won't you?
A moment later, he charges at me, unarmed. And almost in a blink of an eye, the blade appears in his hands. Wait, what? Robbed from mine, I have no choice but to jump out of the way? I run to the opposite side of the ship, where he threw his pair of daggers. Picking them up, I assume a fighting stance and wait for him to charge again.
Not strong enough to take it back by willpower alone? Thought so. You're weak. See, I was blessed by the Triumvirate. All you got was worthless energy from the realm of spirits. Out of pity, too.
He doesn't seem to know about the monarchy or the true nature of the power within me. Big surprise, the Triumvirate lost Sobi when he found out. I should use this to my advantage. As he charges, I'm attaining the facade that I'm weak and unable to summon back the blade. I dodge to the side once more, but slice into Shane's arm with one of his own daggers. He winces and grunts. His arm starts to bleed, but it doesn't seem to affect his performance. He tosses again, and I dodge to the other side. With a roll, I slice his leg. He stumbles. I have speed and agility, while he relies on slow, brute strength. It's easy to tell that he's never fought with such a weapon before. From what I've seen, he can really only use arrows and daggers.
Is that all you got?
I won't be able to keep up the same strategy forever. I need to change it up while I think of how to end this. He charges once more, but this time, I meet him head on. Holding out the daggers in a cross formation, I stop the blade from going any further. We struggle, both at almost equal strength, trembling as we try to overpower the other. I tell Shane that Dominic is still alive. The spirits willed it because his cause was righteous.
Impossible!
He never complied if I told him to look for himself, so there's no way I can prove it. However, he seems to let up a little bit, and I'm able to overpower him some more. I push him away. I tell him that it's all true. He's on the wrong side of this war.
No, you're the one on the wrong side! The rebellion is small and insignificant. Hundreds, standing in a world of millions. Even if you win, they won't respect your power. They're happy living under the Triumvirate's rule. Revenge won't solve anything. Just back down.
We circle around each other, both holding out our weapons.
I was hurt by the occupation and I wanted to fight, but I realized I was being greedy, and there was no point. It's not my happiness, my satisfaction that matters. It's the world's.
It seems we've reached a stalemate, both trying to talk each other down. But I wouldn't yield. Something told me that he wouldn't either. His views have been twisted, and he thinks mine have as well. We charge at each other and meet in the middle once more. The water rises and I can tell that time is minimal. We're sinking fast. Returning to the same deadlock as before, I need to do something. I need to summon the blade back when he least expects it. My time is limited, and it honestly seems like Shane is beyond saving. But the question is, what do I do when it's back in my grasp? So, Chad, I have this moral when it comes to villains. If they kill people, then I would see them as irredeemable. Shane may have killed Dominic, but he's alive, and he is inflicted by the Triumvirate. I want to believe that if I spare Shane, there's a chance that he can be redeemed. So, we're gonna incapacitate him. He didn't deserve to die. That much was clear. There had to be a chance that he'd see reason in the future. If I went on to win this war, maybe he'd see things differently.
You took everything from me!
As his anger and rage empowers him, I start to tremble even more. It takes a lot to resist the strength of a man wielding the Blade of Exodus. I do my best to buy time until I find the right opportunity. I contest Shane's words.
You were born with everything I worked so hard to achieve! They were my family, my friends, and you took them all away!
As he starts to get more desperate and angry, I decide to take action. I let him overpower me and I step to the side, dodging his next swing.
I hate you!
But immediately after, and much to his surprise, I face the blade back into my hands. While he's caught off guard, I raise the blade in the air and smash the base against his head. He screams and stumbles back, knocked into a daze. I step forward and do the same thing again. I'm careful not to go too far, and I stop the moment I find enough time to make my escape. Huh, I guess I learned something from Ulrich when he broke my nose. He slumps down on the ground, almost knocked unconscious. I can hear him cry and whimper. There was no way to know if he'd make it out of this alive. At least they had a chance. Typo.
Dominic.
This was enough of a distraction. I had to get moving. Looking back at Shane, it's crushing how far he seems to have fallen. When I saw Dominic again, it might be wise not to tell him what happened. I jump into the water, immediately start swimming towards the ship my comrades are on. Soon after jumping in, the freezing water makes my limbs feel stiff and my chest heavy. Finding it for as long as I can, I keep swimming. I know I can do this. There is no time to give up. When my vision fades back in, I can feel that I'm being dragged. What happened? My body is covered in snow, and I'm shivering. I must have passed out back in the water. I shake my head. Whoever's carrying me seems to notice. They put me down and sigh. Ulrich?
You're awake. Thank goodness. When I found you in the water, I was starting to worry. What happened back there anyway? You were so far behind us.
Sigh. I shake my head, telling him that I can't remember much, a necessary lie. If he knew what Shane tried to do and how lost he was, it would damage his morale. He needed to see my survival as a triumph. We couldn't afford any damage to morale.
Oh, I see. Can you stand on your own? We're resting in a shack that's not too far away. It's nothing fancy, but it'll give us the privacy we need.
Nodding, I get up on my feet. I stumble a bit, but Dama can tell I'm still fine.
Just follow me, alright? I'll give you an update once we arrive. A lot of stuff happened while you were out.
Normally a statement like that, under these circumstances, would fill me with fear. But Dominic says it with such a calm demeanor that I'm led to believe everybody is fine. Only that optimism in my head, I smile as we make our way towards the shack he mentioned. Below freezing point. I want to say real quick that I gotta praise Shane for, Shane's voice actor for delivering his lines so good. Like, they were gut-wrenching and it gave me a bit of a chill. That was really good. As soon as we arrive, I make my way to the shack and lean against it. We barely even arrived in Balteus, and everything was already chaotic. I don't know what I was expecting, so it's not exactly a surprise either. All of my comrades are scattered about, talking amongst themselves. I'm glad that they survived. I try to account for them one by one as I look around. After a few moments, something strikes me. I can't see either Fortem or Valessa. Hal approaches me and he lets out a sigh of relief. I can imagine that my momentary disappearance stressed everybody out.
Good to see you, Monarch. We were worried. It seems that almost everybody's accounted for.
I ask him where Valessa and Fortem are. His demeanor quickly changes his... Wait, did that have sadness?
They are some of the few we have yet to find, but we are certain that they live. We haven't found their bodies. Many of them washed ashore, casualties of the battle at sea. We are relieved to know that you are not one of those casualties. The plan is to wait in and around the shack until everybody shows up. This might be a good time for you to get some rest. Please relax.
Relax while my best friends are missing? That was a tall order. I tell Hal that I might not be able to.
Please do not resort to worst-case scenario thinking. This is a time to be hopeful. We stand on the precipice of victory. We will go and look for them personally. You deserve some rest.
I nod and thank him as I turn away. Scanning the area once more, I see who I can find. A few of the comrades I can find slowly gathered around me.
Hey, good to see that you're still among the living. That was pretty intense, wasn't it? Sure scared me, at least. I'm not one for sailing or fighting, so combining both? Yikes.
Yeah, Pro was scared. Thankfully, I have strength for two. He cowered in the corner while I did all of the hard work.
Thank you, Ulrich.
Did not.
Sure.
They start a quick laugh. But soon after that, I can tell that something is wrong. Is there something that I'm not being told about all of this?
It's about Alex, Monarch. He's resting in the shack, in critical condition. I think we can nurse him back to health, but I'm not sure.
Oh no.
Look, it's probably best not to think about it too much. He's in good hands. We just need to forge on as a team. If it weren't for him, we'd all be dead at sea. This is a victory.
I guess that's true.
It was just important that we gave you a status report. I think once everybody gets here, we'll hold another meeting. Our strategy may need some adapting after these losses.
Yeah, go take a breather. You deserve it. Right now, our options are pretty limited.
It's not ideal, but he's right. All we can do right now is wait. Thanks for the chat, Monarch.
I guess there wasn't much left for me to do. I make my way to the shack, hopefully to relax. When I was chasing an impossibility, I'd find no rest here. Not until everything was over. And that would mean we'd either win or die. As I enter the shack, I pray that it's the former. Oh. Man, I don't think I could do all of Act 5 in one stream, Chad. I gotta be honest. Maybe after we take control of the library, I'll end it there. We'll see. We're gonna keep going though. As soon as I'm inside, I let out a huge sigh, like I did earlier. The emotions behind it are almost discernible. There was so much going on, my mind was overwhelmed. Guess I should take care of the important stuff first. The pirate forces suffered heavy casualties, and Alex was almost lost. I can see him, resting on a small bed that sits in the corner of the shack. He notices me and waves me over. It's a soft motion, and I can tell he's in pain.
Hey, how are you holding up?
I tell him that I'm doing alright.
At least that makes one of us. I almost died. One of my men shielded me. That's the way to power, I guess. Watching them die.
Oh? He winces in pain, and I see a wound on his abdomen.
Never gets any easier, though. Hey, can you promise me one thing?
I nod, and he waves me even closer as his voice weakens. He holds out his hand and takes it with a firm grip.
Give them hell for me, Monarch. If I die, I want to die knowing that we've won. Show them no quarter. They don't deserve it.
I nod and then release the grip on his hand. He dozes off into slumber, and I decide to leave him be. Rest would be important right now. He shouldn't force anything. After standing up, I look down at him. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't even be here right now. I smile and silently thank him for all that he's done. There isn't much left to do but rest, I suppose. I made it to the corner and pressed my back against the wall once more. Hopefully they're all able to find Valesa and report him. Can't lose them now. I'll rest in here for a while and gather my bearings. This is not a time for freaking out. Can I have some one-on-one time with Ulrich, please? There isn't really much for me to do here. I'll make a save right here. Oh. Hey, if my final choice has my purity and corruption at 50-50, then I truly did walk the neutral path. Yeah, that's not much for me to do. Alright, I'm gonna get up and stretch again, because if I don't do that, I'm really gonna get a little tired, and my neck is kind of stiff from working out today. So, I'll be back in a minute. Look out, I'm on the BRB screen, so you don't have to give me that awkward look again.
I am death!
Okay, I am back. Thank you for waiting, Chad. Alright, getting up and stretching definitely is refreshing. It helps me with writing Guardian Tales, and it helps me with streaming.
Looking cool, Joker.
Well, thank you, Bowser. Yeah, those sound redeems are fun for people to play. Hey, I made them particularly for the multiplayer streams. Yes, but they can work in story stuff too. Although to be honest, I may turn them off when the story gets very serious. I really don't want to be in the middle of an emotional scene and then someone playing Looking Cool Joker and ruining the moment. I'm not going to turn them off yet, since we're having a moment of reprieve, sort of. Alright, let's continue. After a few hours of waiting, I almost can't handle it anymore. It's impossible for me to rest when my friends could be in danger. Making my way to the exit, I cross my fingers, hoping that things are okay. Just as I'm about to leave, the door swung open, catching me off guard. I take a few steps back to avoid getting hit, letting out a sigh of relief afterwards. It's Ulrich. That's not all. A few moments after he enters, Valessa and Fortim follow. Thank goodness. They're alive! What a huge relief this was! All the worry had taken its toll. We hug each other with big smiles on our faces. For a while there, I was scared of what might have happened. Thankfully, they're okay. I could rest easy as we move forward with everything.
Sorry for taking a bit longer than you thought. We've never been here before, so we got lost.
Yeah, and it was even harder because you're keeping quiet. It's hard to find people who don't want to be found, you know?
I release the hug and tell them that everything is fine. I was worried, but I knew that they were capable of surviving.
I can't believe how cold this place is. It looks so uninviting, too. Scary, almost.
Yeah, hopefully we can change that. The triumvirate seems neglectful, but why?
I shrug, unsure of how to answer that question. We're here to kill the triumvirate, not reason with them. I have a feeling this, among other questions, would remain unanswered. Dominic and Hal soon enter the shack. Followed by more of our comrades, we quickly fill the room. Gathering around the table, it's clear that it was time to plan.
Alright, we need to talk about what happens next. Until now, we've been pretty vague since time was short. But there's no more delaying. This is everything we've got. We need to push through the town square before anything can happen. Balteus is fortified by a large wall, so we can't get to the library from the outside. This means that the bulk of the battle will take place within the city itself. However, we want to get to the Grand Library with as little resistance as possible. To that end, we'll have our Monarch vessels go in first, and cause a distraction. If they can lure the Honor Guard away from the town square, we can slip in. Since the Honor Guard can't enter the library, it's perfect for a base of operations. Let's face it, this shack is dangerous, so we should get moving as soon as possible. Once we're in the library, we can relax and prepare to launch our final assault.
And what will that final assault consist of?
Good question. Here's what we've been thinking. If the floor is mine, I'll reveal our plan.
Hal nods, giving Dominic the floor. He steps forward. Placing a scroll on the table, he promptly unfolds it. I can see that it's a map of Balteus, the entire city. Everybody gathers around the table, putting aside any other business. If the strategy at sea was any indication, I know this operation is in good hands. They certainly seem to know what they're doing. I can feel our morale rising. He starts to speak with certainty and confidence. It's impressive. They must have been planning for a while. We all watch intently, Curious to see what kind of strategy they have.
This is the main area of the city. Our goal is to ensure that the monarch has a clear path to the castle. That way, he can slip inside and kill the triumvirate with minimal effort. Hal and myself will lure the honor guard to the town square. This is where the bulk of the battle will take place. It shouldn't be too hard. With the added might of our draconic allies, we'll have no problem at all. Pro will sneak away from the town square and infiltrate the castle. His job will be to cause a distraction, luring enemies away from the atrium. With that done, the rest should be smooth sailing for the monarch.
Sounds like a piece of cake, to be honest. Consider that castle empty upon your arrival. Causing distractions is totally a specialty of mine.
Alright, that takes care of Hal, Pro, and myself. The rest of you will accompany the monarch to the castle. Let's see here. I should have another map detailing our current area. The only way to approach the Triumvirate's castle is directly from the front. That is, unless you know a secret or two. This involves a hidden mountain pass. Using this pass, you can go around Balteus. It'll be much easier than sneaking through the city. Joining you will be Ulrich, Fortame, and Valessa.
Good.
Damek, if you'd let me join them, I could help out. Remember who tipped you off about this hidden trail? I can even use the Blade of Exodus if the monarch is in a bind.
Alright, sure. I have no problem with that. Sovi will accompany the group headed to the castle. They'll split up when they get close. Let's see here. You should emerge from the mountain pass right beside the castle. Because of all the distractions, your path inside should be clear, but I need Fortame to do something special for us first.
Me? Special? What do you need me to do?
I'll have you climb the castle, scaling the outside walls. Your job will be to get inside and ring the bell of retreat. If you can find it, it should make the honor guard stand down.
Wait, seriously? All of them?
Yeah, all of them. I'm putting a lot of trust in you here. Do you think you can do this for us?
This is what you've been training for, Fortem.
Of course! Climbing is my specialty. I'll have that bell ringing in no time.
Good. The rest of you will enter the castle from the front. Again, your path should be clear if all goes as planned. If not, well, you'll have to fight your way through. But I believe in you.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we can do this, no problem.
Glad to hear it.
That is all we've come up with. Does everybody find it acceptable?
Everybody nods, knowing their part. It seemed like they had almost thought of it all. With a strategy like that, victory seems almost certain. As long as I could defeat the Triumvirate and that idol. Even if everybody plays their part, the end is still all on me. I do my best not to let them down, but part of me is filled with fright.
Alright, let's go outside. We'll head to the Grand Library as a group. If we can get in there without trouble, the rest will be easy.
Monarch vessels should make it pretty easy for us. They'll lure the honor guard away from the town square. If they can do that, then we can slip in pretty much undetected. Hopefully they could survive the task. This operation would be divided into 2 phases then. Take the Grand Library, then take the Triumvirate's castle. With everything planned and out in the open, we exit the shack. Hope fills the air. For the first time in a while, we could do this. I smile at my comrades as we head outside, one by one. The cold, uninviting air assaults me as soon as I exit the shack. It's like Eastcrown. Not sure how people could survive in this place. Well, not that there's many people here, it's mainly those suits of armor. I can hear everybody talking, going over the roles they were assigned. If everybody did what they were supposed to do, then we'd win this for sure. Of course, as long as I could destroy the Triumvirate and that idol they're housing.
Sneak into the castle and lure everybody away from the main atrium. Seems pretty easy to me. The monarch will have no resistance at all.
And if I can ring that bell, then everybody will be safe. All those years of climbing is finally paid off. This is gonna be great.
Ulrich is quick to interject, putting any arrogance to rest before it can blossom.
Look, none of that is going to happen if we can't take the Grand Library. We need to establish a foothold, a safe place to retreat to if things go south.
They all nod and stop the discussion they were having. It's true though, without Haven, we're out in the open, completely unsafe. At least the first phase of our plan wasn't too complicated. I know we'd seize the library. I noticed that one of our comrades is carrying Alex. That's good. The library would be the best place for him to get rest. He's fast asleep, which is pretty surprising. He must be a heavy sleeper.
The city should only be a couple of hours away. We trust that you can all handle the cold.
We don't really have much of a choice, Hal. Let's get going. I think our goal is pretty clear.
Upon hearing that, we all start walking towards the city. I can see the impressive wall that surrounds everything. It's beautiful. However, I can't see anything past it. I have no idea what Balteus looks like. We walk through thick layers of snow, and my legs start to tire out. But I'm not in a position where I have any choice. Pushing forward is mandatory. After what feels like a small eternity, we finally arrive at the gates leading to Balteus. The town gates and the wall are an amazing sight. Intricate details are carved into the stone. It's a work of art. Something told me the monarchy made this, not the triumvirate.
This looks amazing. This must be a remnant of the monarchy, right? The triumvirate can't be this artistic. I know it.
Correct. This looks just as we remember it. However, Balteus wasn't always this cold. Something bad has happened to the nation.
Oh, I see. Like what?
We're not sure. However, it is probably due to the triumvirate. It pains us to see how much they've defiled our former home. We used to live in Balteus. It housed the throne and our ruler. To see it reduced to a frozen wasteland, it is almost too much to bear. Let us head inside. We need to see what else has changed over the years.
It reminds me of what we thought would happen to Valnorth. Without the spirit idol, it'd wither away and freeze over like Eastcrown. We have since learned that was false, but what's happened to Balteus then? As we all start to make our way inside the city, Dominic stops us. He looks a bit worried, and I can tell that he's lost in deep thought.
Monarch vessels, where are you?
A few moments later, a group of our Monarch vessels step forward.
We don't have much time to waste. As soon as we get inside, you need to get to work. Lure the honor guard away from our path. Understood?
Yes, of course. Your path to the library will be clear. As soon as the fighting dies down, we will come and join you. This should be easy, so don't expect us to be far behind.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Let's see. Is there anything else to cover?
He turns back to face the rest of the group. Gulping, it's clear that he's fraught with anxiety.
Look, we're about to do something that's never been done before. We're seizing territory from the Triumvirate, right under their noses. Much like they did to Mazeo. We're about to occupy Balteus. But that does not mean we are like them. We do what we do in order to gain our freedom. They occupied Mazeo, wanting to oppress us even further.
We all exchange glances and nod at one another.
I want you to all remember that as we press forward, war can blur the lines between good and evil. But I know where we stand. If you know that too, then there's nothing that can stop you. You are heroes.
With nothing left to say, we slowly make our way into the city. I can tell that due to Dominic's encouraging words, everybody is happy. However, as we enter, nothing prepares us for the sight that awaits us. Wait, why does it look like the city is destroyed? Hal immediately steps forward, taking in the sight before him. Balteus looks almost uninhabitable. It's in a state of decay and death. I know the Honor Guard doesn't need a paradise, but this is crazy.
What have they done?
It's clear that Hall is hurt. This used to be the monarchy's home after all. I don't believe there would be a way to reverse all of this. It isn't right.
This is, well, I certainly didn't expect this. I'm guessing it didn't look like this in your time?
No. Balteus was a paradise. This is unacceptable, Domic. We must find a way to fix it.
Of course. There's no way I'll let this stand. It's a bit of a shock, but our plan remains unchanged. Secure the Grand Library, then kill the Triumvirate.
After he's done talking, we see a horde of Honor Guard suits walk by. We quickly run off to the side and hide behind a nearby building. I've never seen anything like this. The building is pitch black. Pieces of it crumble off, almost like it's been burned or charred. But it hasn't. I know a building can't die, but there's no other way to put it. Like its source of life has been cut off, it appears to be living on borrowed time.
What's going on here?
This is disgusting. Look.
He looks down and we all look at his feet. We're no longer standing in snow, but ash and... soot? Suit? A black powdery or flaky substance consisting largely of amorphous carbon produced by the incomplete burning of organic matter. Alright, there's your word for the day, Chad. I started to wonder if it was ever really snowing at all.
This is Alestia's fate if we leave it in their hands. They don't care about the land. They only care about themselves. This is proof enough that we're on the right side of history.
Yeah. Hal turns to me and places a hand on my shoulder.
We suspect that this may be related to their dark idol, Monarch. Above all else, please prioritize its destruction.
I nod as previous visions start to repeat themselves in my mind. I was facing that idol with the blade. Everything is coming to pass. After our short talk, our attention is directed back towards the Honor Guard.
Monarch vessels, come here. I think this is our best chance to take action. If that group is gone, our path to the library is clear.
Upon hearing this, they quickly group up in front of Domic. Our goal of seizing the Grand Library seems pretty attainable.
Yes, sir. It should be easy enough to take them down. After they're dealt with, we'll meet you all in the library.
Good luck, Rygar.
Good. Go around this building and attack from the other side. They'll be focusing on you, so we'll head in the opposite direction.
Perfect. Then see you at the library. If we don't make it, it's been an honor.
After exchanging a nod, both groups part ways. The Monarch vessels prepare to distract the Honor Guard. Domic points to a nearby road, signaling where we should run.
The Grand Library is right over there. We'll run on my mark, so just hold on.
After speaking, he immediately places a finger against his mouth. It's clear that we need to remain silent while the vessels carry out their goal. We wait there in an intense silence, waiting to hear the clashing of swords. We all stare at each other, in our knees. We know that when they start to fight, some of them may die. It pains me that sacrifice was necessary in order to attain our goal. But I know that their sacrifice would never be forgotten. My heart sinks as soon as I hear them start to fight. I hear screaming and steel against steel. My instinct tells me to run immediately, but Domic has yet to move. I can see him wince every time the skirmish gets a little louder. But soon enough, he makes the call and we're all running.
Now, go!
In our haste, we still make sure to be as silent as possible. The Grand Library isn't too far away. In fact, I can see it now. It stands tall. It seems to be the one building that's not falling apart. I want to screen cap this. Good. OBS is still, capturing the window. As soon as we arrive there, we all let out a big sigh of relief. We can still hear the fighting, but it's more distant than before. Through the screams, it's impossible to tell which side is winning.
What's going on back there?
I don't know. Let's just hope it's going well.
Doesn't sound that way.
For the honor guard, maybe. Hurry up. We need to get inside.
Shouldn't we wait for the Monarch vessels? At this rate, it might not be much longer.
No, they can meet us inside. We can't risk running into more suits. That was just one group. I'm sure there's more.
Right.
They start to ascend the stairs, but Hal stops them.
Wait. The library seems fine. Why does it not decay like the rest?
Everybody turns to face him, but nobody knows. Dominic takes the stairs back down and faces Hal.
I don't know, but I think this is a good sign. It means we can control or limit what's happening. Knowing this, we might be able to fix Balteus.
Or perhaps it's a bad sign, Dominic. Maybe our enemy has the power to harm Alestia itself. How do you think we can stand up against such a foe?
Everybody exchanges worried glances. Then their eyes find their way to the blade on my back. It's apparent that conventional means wouldn't be enough to win. Nobody knows how to answer Hal, and an awkward silence follows. And then we realize that it is indeed a silence. This is concerning. The earlier fight is over, but did the Monarch vessels prevail?
Hey, let's get inside, alright? Maybe the librarian knows more about this. We shouldn't stand around in the open out here.
If there is a librarian inside. Although I'm thinking, if the library is to remain intact, there could be people in there. Let's hope it's empty. Having successfully changed the subject, we start heading inside. Hal made a good point, but none of us were able to counter it. I doubt that the librarian would want to talk to invaders like us. It makes me worry about how we might get them to talk. There was so much uncertainty and worry in the air right now. As we enter the library, I hope that our forces lived through their fight. Wow, the library is so colorful. This calls for another screen cap. When we enter the library, I'm taken aback by what I see. Dust fills the air, and it seems like this place has seen better days. The only sign that somebody has been here is that the books remain clean. Whoever has been taking care of this place only cares about the literature. Guess that's acceptable, since that would be the main job of the librarian. But it just seems odd. All the time in the world, and it's still quite dirty. There's some kind of weird apparatus in the back of the library. I've never seen anything like it before. It's almost awe-inspiring. My comrades all look around, sharing that same look of awe.
This is amazing!
I've never seen so many books in one place before. I wonder what they're all about. Should we take a look?
Maybe not. We're here for a reason, remember? Let's find the owner and see what they can tell us.
Hal steps forward, objecting before anyone else can speak.
Actually, there's a chance that the books could tell us even more. The Triumvirate must keep them away from the mainland for a reason.
What do you mean?
The monarchy vanished in the blink of an eye. This we know for sure. People can be erased, but not culture. Signs of our time here would have remained.
So, you're saying...
Before he can continue, we hear a noise coming from down the hall. We know the honor guard can't enter, so it must be the proprietor. Knowing that we need to take them hostage, we assume hostile stances.
Looking into the past is one of the best ways to learn. If we don't become better people, then we'll repeat the same mistakes. How fitting, then, that the old monarchy would focus only on the future.
Wait! Hold on! You're wearing a CE belt around your neck like Gris did! Oh, does this guy know Gris? Also, I really like that he's based on a badger. I love badgers. We all exchange glances, slightly confused.
They wanted to guide themselves to the perfect future. If it was possible to get there, then no cost would be too high. In the name of a better world, they embraced corruption.
After a few steps forward, a mysterious man comes into view.
Too often do we condemn others in our self-serving journeys. A bright future for the monarchy would have meant death for innocent worlds. The Triumvirate chose to step in, as they have countless times before, to maintain balance.
Dominic interjects, with a look on his face I can only describe as in the onset of anger. Excuse me.
We know what the Triumvirate did to the monarchy. Hal told us. But like you said, mistakes are how we learn and grow. It's how we become better. If the option of failure is taken away from us, we can no longer call ourselves people. They can hide behind whatever reason they want, but they're wrong to control us. The ability to make these mistakes is our right, and I will not stand by while it's taken away. Corruption? Death? Nobody wants these, but without them, we might as well not exist at all.
Everybody nods and cheers Dominic on. Mystery Man shrugs and keeps walking forward.
Restrain this man.
I expect to see the man put up a fight, but he doesn't.
You will experience no resistance from me, but on the other hand, you'll find no help either. Do what you must, but keep the library intact.
He gets on his knees and holds out his wrists. Hal makes quick work of restraining him.
Who are you? You know far more than most.
The man shakes his head.
Just a hoarder of knowledge. A man who preserves the past rather than erasing it. In exchange, the Triumvirate gives me life and shelter.
Another one of their victims, you mean? Eternal life in exchange for servitude? Despicable. What atrocities did you commit in their name?
I created this library, a simple glimpse into the past. Everything the monarchy ever wrote is on these shelves. That was my job. Preserve the old history while creating a new one.
And what new history did you create?
I wrote about the Triumvirate and spread it everywhere. I made them seem like gods, like they were the creators of this world. As new life began on Alestia, they found my writing and believed every word.
Hal scoffs as anger boils within him. Before he can do anything, Pro interrupts.
Algus Veyer.
Huh? The man's ears perk up in a way that reveals he was reacting to his name.
That is the moniker I assumed, yes. I'm happy to know that the name is still remembered.
Algus Velier. I don't know how. I can't pronounce that well. The man revered as the greatest historian. Can't believe that he too was a tool of the Triumvirate.
So everything the people believe is a lie that you created. Why would you need to go to such extremes? This is insane.
Look at how you and your friends reacted to learning the truth. It brought you here, prepared to kill those who gave you life. The people must never know the true cost of their creation.
I don't believe this. Hal, get him out of our sight.
Hal drags Algus away as the rest of us group together.
Well, at least he didn't put up much of a fight. I'd like to say that I'm shocked, but I don't feel surprised at all. This journey has been full of revelations. This is just another for the pile. It doesn't really change much at all. We still have a plan. But it'd be stupid to attack the enemy in the middle of the night. Let's rest until the break of dawn, and meet in the front of the library. Remember that we're safe as long as we stay in here. Hopefully the rest of our forces aren't too far behind. You're all dismissed. See you in the morning, okay?
Where are we supposed to rest?
I'm sure there's private quarters around here somewhere. And if you can't sleep, at least there's a lot of books to read. After the war, we should give this knowledge back to the people.
Yeah, I agree. The triumvirate can't hide this stuff forever. We finally have proof that nobody can deny. This is amazing. If we show them this, they'll accept our rule without question.
Dominic smiles, his spirits seemingly lifted.
Yeah. Let's hope you're right. Have a good night, everybody.
All of you. I can't help but be amused whenever the voice actors read the dialogue and it doesn't match some of it. With that, we were all left on our own. People scatter about, reading books and exploring the library. I decided to look for a private room so I could relax and gather my bearings. Alright, this is the stopping point I was hoping for. I have a feeling that if we kept going, we'd be going on for another 2 to 3 hours. Oh. Before that, Halen returns to the chambers of the Triumvirate. Noticing the absence of Shane, they're a bit confused. They don't assume the worst and ask Halen to brief them.
Shane stayed behind to lead the naval attack. He plans to trim their forces as much as possible. Like you anticipated, they're arriving by sea.
Good. Then things are going according to plan. We'll have you wait in the atrium for their arrival. This means that you'll be our last line of defense.
I consider it an honor, but I have to say, I'm worried for Shane. His chances of survival are pretty slim out there.
He knew what he was signing up for. If he killed even one of the rebels, then he was successful. Focus on protecting this castle, Halen. That's more important.
Yes, of course. I'll make sure no one passes the atrium. If they try, they'll fall as quickly as they enter.
Thank you, Halen. It's important that they have a false sense of security. Don't give them too much resistance until it's absolutely necessary. If they think they're going to win, they're more prone to slipping up. It's up to you to figure out when that moment is and take advantage of it. Even if it takes your life, you ought to prevent them from entering our chambers.
Halen kneels, complying without hesitation.
Yes, of course. My life for the Triumvirate. I'll fortify straight away and wait for their arrival.
Halen strides out of their chambers with a sense of purpose. After he leaves, they turn to each other, displaying soft smiles.
Hopefully this time, things will be different.
Oh, that is a nice room! And I love that dragon statue! This might be my new screensaver. After finding a private room, I pace around it in circles. I've had nothing but bad luck when it came to getting rest. Ever since we left Museo, I've been too worried to fall asleep. I tried reading books, but none of them were able to capture my interest. Pacing the room, I basically succumbed to the anxiety it assaulted my mind. However, thankfully, a knock at my door soon returns me to lucidity. As soon as I open it, Dominic enters. You were drawing a kiss? Oh, Bowser, are you an artist? He takes a deep breath, sounding both annoyed and relieved. Yeah? Hey, that's cool. I'm an author. I've been writing short stories for 2 years, and now I'm working on my first book. I'm pretty excited. I was hit with inspiration lately, and that pushed me to finish chapter 17. Before I've dabbled in everything. That's cool. Before I digress too much, let's hear what Dominic has to say.
We finally put the librarian to rest. He sure likes to talk a lot, and about nothing at all. Lots of answers in the form of riddles. Boring stuff. It's pretty interesting that he didn't resist, though. He said he won't help us, but he won't stop us either. His true allegiance is to history. That's what he kept saying. Doesn't make much sense since he faked so much history in the past. But no matter what happens next, he'll have a lot to write about. If we win, he'll record it. If we lose, then he'll record that too.
I guess his stance makes more sense if you look at it that way. No matter what happens next, somebody would need to write about it.
His main condition was that we don't harm the library. Pretty good terms, especially in exchange for a foothold. We may not have won yet, but we've seized Baltean soil.
That's true. Nobody else has ever gone this far. I can tell that we stand a chance of winning, and it feels amazing. But I have to ask, how do we know that this Algus can be trusted?
We don't. But he can't do much if he's locked up. Any chance he had at intervening is long gone by now. He can try when we leave, but we'll be prepared to fight by then.
I nod, thanking Dominic for the update on what's going on.
Of course. I just wanted to make sure you were all right. It must be hard to sleep right now, given all the weight on your shoulders. The others aren't sleeping either. Maybe you should spend some time with them.
He's right. If I can't sleep, then that's probably the next best idea. But I wonder if our bonds are strong enough to warrant some time together. This could be our last night alive, after all. Might be more protective of their time. I guess there was no harm in checking. I see him out of my room with a new goal in mind. Turning back to face the vast emptiness of this private room, wonder who I could invite over. This would be a good night to make some final moments, just in case the worst came to pass. This is our last one-on-one time with every loyal comrade. Calm before the storm. Finally! One-on-one time with Ulrich! As I'm lost in thought, a knock at the door jolts me awake. Without hesitation, I open it up and Ulrich steps inside. He seems calm. He's seen tons of battles in his lifetime.
Hey, Monarch. I just wanted to come see you. We won't be getting much sleep tonight after all.
It's true, and I don't blame anybody for it. Especially Ulrich. We were fighting for his former masters. This would be harder on him than it would be for us.
I can't stop thinking about our visit to Alarinthia. You know, I broke your nose and I feel awful about that. But I couldn't let you get in the way and compromise our plan. It needed to come down to just Pro and myself. It was the only way that we could guarantee our victory. I guess I came here seeking forgiveness. I feel foolish, though. Your forgiveness was implied when you removed that curse from me. I mean, you wouldn't do something like that if you resented me, right? But still, having it implied, it's not the same as hearing you say it.
I can tell what he's after, so I tell him that he's forgiven. To be honest, it's the last thing on my mind right now. If it secured us our Draconic Alliance, it was worth it.
And that's the thing, though. Forgiveness shouldn't come so easy. When you're on the throne, you need to learn how to punish. I lied to you. I hurt you. I shouldn't deserve your forgiveness.
Then why did he come here asking for it? I tell him that he deserves forgiveness because he meant no ill will. He did what he did out of necessity to help further our cause and win.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're lucky it was just your nose. In that moment, I would have done whatever I deemed necessary, Monarch. And given the opportunity, I would do it again. I would go as far as I needed. Do you still think I'm worthy of forgiveness? Who knows what I might have to do during the final battle? The fate of the world is in the balance. I can't hold back.
What's going into him all of a sudden? He's acting odd, but I try not to bring it to his attention. All I know, he's just anxious about the upcoming battle. But still, I tell him that he's forgiven. I can't hold him accountable for things he hasn't done. What he has done, however, he's more than made up for it.
As long as we're both on the same page. I expect the same from you. Don't hold back in any way. If I'm in danger, don't stop to help me. You have your goal.
He wants me to just leave him for dead?
I know what I was getting into when you removed my curse. I'm vulnerable. For the first time in thousands of years. But while I'm vulnerable, I also feel alive, Monarch. It's amazing how much the possibility of death can motivate us. In some ways, that's what drives us to accomplish our goals. Without some sort of end, there's no time for us to seize.
You would know better than me. I don't think even he knows how old he is. At that point, the years would start to blur together. His demeanor makes sense now that he's facing his mortality. His actions have consequences that could affect the rest of his life. In the past, no matter what he did, he could just outlive repercussions. I tell him I'll do it. No, I don't want to do it though. I don't want to do him though. He's my favorite character. I would never want to leave him behind. I tell him I'll do it. I'll leave him behind, only if it's necessary. I do have my goal, but part of that is ensuring my comrades stay alive. The pledge seems to satisfy him enough, and he changes the subject.
Thank you, Monarch. I knew you'd be strong enough to make the tough decisions. Since we met, I've seen nothing but a capable ruler in you. And that was before the attack on the Rebel HQ. Remember back in Valenorth, when we were at Peregrino. You've been leading this world for much longer than you think. And I have to say, I agree with your choices. Turning Peregrino into a barracks to protect your homeland. Anybody who cares about their people that much is a great leader.
I bet he would have a different opinion if we kept it as a tavern. He smiles at me and places a hand on my shoulder.
When I look back on times like that, I realize how far we've come. Complete strangers to lovers. And it all happened so fast. I wasn't expecting it, but that's how I know it's real. Some people pursue love like it'll make them whole. But it's not right to place a burden like that on somebody else. I think you can only really enjoy love when you love yourself first. And that's what you helped me do, Monarch. It's like the more I know about you, the more I know about myself. And I don't want to stop learning. I want it for the rest of my life. I'm just grateful that now it's a life I deem worth living. If I don't lose it on the battlefield, then I want to spend it with you. Being able to grow old and say goodbye, it's an odd thing to desire. But when you lose the ability to die, you start to miss it. In fact, you can almost forget what it's like to feel alive. I did. At least until I first laid eyes on you.
He takes the hand off my shoulder and laughs.
I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Don't want to give away my wedding vows. This is actually some prime material, now that I think about it.
Unforgettable. Pulling me into a hug, he places a kiss on top of my head.
Let's continue this after the battle, alright? Unfinished business is just one more reason to survive. In times like these, we need as many of those as we can get.
I nod and see him out of my room. He seems a bit different, but I don't blame him. Anybody would change when given the ability to die. I'm just thankful that he's staying optimistic about it. It makes me realize that he really wanted it. It wasn't a hasty decision. And with that optimism, I know he'd survive and live a long, happy life. I love this man so much. And yes, this is a video game. But come on, nothing wrong with loving a fictional character. Like, I love Ulrich. He's become one of my favorite characters ever now, and it's all thanks to this game. And I thank him for, I thank the developers of this game for making such a cool character. I thank this game for inspiring me with my writing. I hope we reach a conclusion where the seer and Ulrich can be happy. I'm never overwriting that save file. I want to watch that scene whenever I want now. I love it so much. Yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to be playing another 2 to 3 hours to reach the conclusion, so let's stop here. Sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger, but I'm getting pretty tired and I need to cook dinner. So, next time, we'll finish Winds of Change. Mondays are not a guarantee that I'll stream, but if I have the free time, I'll play more Winds of Change so we can see the story to its conclusion. Yeah, it was fun. Thank you for watching, you two and everyone else. If you enjoyed the stream, follow the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future streams. And if you really enjoy my content, you can subscribe to the channel. You can donate through PayPal or the Steam Elements page. Or you can become a member of my Patreon. That my Patreon is dedicated to showing the process of my new book. You get to read chapters as I post them. Yeah, the support is not required, but anything small is really appreciated. With all that being said, I'm gonna look for someone to raid, so give me a minute. Oh, Legend Drago is streaming. Let's go raid him. He is an artist, so let's go support him. There, the raid has started. Thank you again for watching, everyone. Look forward to the archive being posted tomorrow. I hope you enjoy the stream. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!